Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends. And that's right, folks. The whole crew of Primetime Gaming is here. We're locked, we're loaded, and we got some spicy topics to get into. To open the show, we're going to be talking about the God of War Ragnarok footage that was posted online by Game Informer. Now, they have the cover story, which they put on the socials. Listen, I mean, what could you say about what you saw? It looked fantastic. I can't wait to play it. But that's not the only question that we're going to be asking today, ladies and gentlemen. Sonic Frontiers also had a great showing. As a matter of fact, I would dare say it was probably one of the best things outside of Lies of P that I saw at Gamescom. And, Kay Asante and I and the slanderous one, we're going to have a three-way bet. You're not going to believe which way this is going, ladies and gentlemen. And it is going to be giving up the knees, a la King David, and who's right and who's wrong. But listen, let's get into the introductions. And we just had Wandering Dutch, who's back. He popped out. Maybe he had some technical issues, but we'll get him back. And the slanderous one should be here momentarily. Kay Asante, wearing the classic Super Mario shirt. Welcome, and how you feeling, brother?
Good evening. I'm feeling great, man. This is like the highlight of my week, and the whole crew's here. I can't wait for the slanderous one to get in here. I am here for violence this evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow,
man,
we called for violence. Yes,
this is going to be an interesting evening because, man, I feel like I'm through the looking glass, and trust me, guys, you will hear all about it. There are some crazy people on my panel this evening, but we're going to get into it. I'm here for it. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to this. Good evening, all.
Absolutely. And real quick, we got a shout out. There he is. He's back. Welcome back, Dutch. Got a shout out, Boss Mod Lethal Papa. I think you know him. He not only does this channel, but he works right along with Dealer and so many others because, well, he walks silently and carries a very big band stick. So if you are an a-hole, watch your back because he's probably going to stick that stick where the sun don't shine and ban you, which, of course, he has my full authority to do. But Dutch, you're back, brother. You're migraine-free. I know that there's been some controversy with this with the football match that you just saw, but you're here. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, a little bit controversy there, but proud of the team nonetheless. Fought hard, but awesome to be back in the land of podcasts, and I go back to podcasting for the first time on my own show tonight as well. So it's great to be back. Been out for about a month or so, but we are all systems go again. Refreshed, ready to rock and roll. Looking forward to get dug into this because there's been a lot of salty shilling going on social media.
You and I were involved in a salty shilling match today, and well, I mean, listen, look, here's the thing, folks. I don't choose violence first. Never choose violence first. I don't mind a good debate. What I will not stand for is utter rubbish. If you're going to tweet utter rubbish and not have the factoids, because one of the biggest things with me, and I've said this many times on, when I bring a topic to the conversation, I always and have always given, the names of journalists that wrote it, why they wrote it, where they wrote it, where I got it from. And I give it to you to read for yourself, so you can maybe have a different opinion. What Dutch and I were in a conversation, which again started out as a conversation until I had to really just tell the guy, at this point, dude, you're just embarrassing yourself, which we won't make mention of because we don't do that. We don't throw people on the buses here. It's something I will not do.
Are we talking about journalists that?
Well, no, we're not talking about Bloomberg journalists that went off on a binger today and just decided to go buck wild on the industry. I know we're not talking about him. We're going to talk about that tomorrow because at 12 o'clock tomorrow, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm sitting down with OBM of Xbox Era, right along with Risk It for the Biscuit of the Xbox Infinite podcast. And normally it's a one-on-one show,
aka the Thunder from Down Under.
The Thunder from Down Under, in absolutely deed. And listen, Everborn, you and I, man, we can have a conversation today about this whole Sonic thing. I'm throwing a flag for a personal foul, but
Everborn Judas. I'm just saying.
Everborn Judas.
Wow.
We will get to you in a second, man. Wandering Dutch, I'm glad that you're back, brother. I'm glad that you're feeling better. We missed the heck out of you on this panel, and I'm glad that you're back doing your own show as well.
Thank you, brother.
Oh,
Awesome
my
to be
pleasure.
back.
And you know what? One of the best voices in the business, and one that if he is not in Gear 6, I'm calling Papa Phil for sure. Crispy Bomb, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Oh man, yeah, the socials have been very interesting the past 24 hours.
Oh, they have, yes, indeed.
I've just come to the point where now I'm just taking screenshots because I'm not getting into these arguments. Yeah, and that goes for some Xbox guys too. By the way, you guys are getting a little extreme out here. Like, oh, it doesn't look good. It's like, dude, like you're just literally playing into their hands. So when they pull out the screenshots on you guys, I'm sorry, man, you're setting yourself up. But other than that, played a couple rounds of golf this morning and just been chilling out.
Nice.
Doing a little chores. So just ready to roll, man.
Well, listen, we're glad that you're back, brother. Again, listen. I know what you're talking about in regards to like the Xbox guys, and some people. We're going to talk about God of War to open up. I really quite enjoyed what I saw. I know it was a smidge from Game Informer because they do have it as their cover story, and why wouldn't you? Because God of War 2018 is a masterpiece, and I would imagine that Ragnarok is going to be just as good, if not better. Now I know that there's going to be debate: is it DLC? Is it this? Look, it's part 2 to one of my favorite games on the PlayStation, which was God of War 2018, and I'm all in. Yes, it's $70. What am I going to do? I'm going to be a part of the problem and pay for it. But I am very much looking forward to this game on November 8th, though I have something to say about who wins NPD's November, and it ain't going to be God of War there, Kay Asante, but we'll get into that
Bold
momentarily.
words, sir. Very bold words.
I'm taking the bold words cotton approach here because what I'm about to say is going to shock the world, and I'm going to have to, like I said, I'll take the L. I'll give both knees, not one knee. I'll give you both knees if I'm wrong, but I'm not going to be. Everborn, how are you, man? Welcome back.
I'm good. I'm ready to talk about the shenanigans that are going on in the gaming spaces community. I'm ready to talk about the Last of Us remake. I'm ready to talk about your very bold prediction. And you know something? I think you may be onto something, sir.
Listen.
Get out of here, man. You guys are all smoking something. We really going to get into
this. I love it.
Okay, listen. One platform versus available on everything. Okay, we're talking about Switch, PC.
Come on, no. Don't bury the lead. We'll get into it.
Yeah, we will definitely get into
how many 100 and how many million people on Switch?
We'll get into it. Come on.
Like I said, we'll get into it, Everborn. But listen, we have to welcome in somebody that normally writes the scripts. Tonight, I wrote the script because he's been busy as AF at work for a multitude of reasons. But Mag, look, like I said, I know you've been busy, but God of War Ragnarok is releasing November 8th. And I'm just wondering, have you platinumed God of War 2018? And more importantly, did you see the new God of War Ragnarok footage released by Game Informer?
Two-part question. First part question. Of course I platinumed it. Just ask Asante who creeps on my profile to see all my trophies. That's right. Of course I platinumed it. But yes, but I got to tell you, though, you know what? It's been, I think about 2 years now. And let's face it, I drink a lot. So I tend to have a short-term memory loss. So I got to say, I got to go back and I'm probably going to have to replay it to remember the story.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But look, you know what I've always wondered, Mag? How does Kratos get such a close shave on that bald head? And more importantly, does he keep his Norse region as close shaven as the rest of his body?
Woo! What a hot question. I got to tell you, Boom, I'm not exactly sure if he uses Blades of Chaos there, but I'm telling you something, that's not the kind of thing I'm going to risk down there. That's for damn sure.
Well, listen, Mag, I have to say that you shouldn't take that chance, and no one should take that chance using the Blade of Chaos on their nether region. And I say what you should do is get the Lawnmower 4.0 or the Weed Whacker so you could look like Kratos. But if you want to look like Kratos, if you want that smooth stroking capability, you need to go to manscaped.com and use the code DBG20 for free shipping and 20% off your entire order. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is Manscaped has once again sponsored not only Double Barrel Gaming, but Prime Time Gaming. And we are extremely thankful. But look, let's get into what exactly we were just, poking fun at. Earlier today, Game Informer not only announced that they were doing on their cover story for next month's publication was God of War Ragnarok. And they put out some footage that I saw a lot of people going. Some people said it doesn't look good. Some people said it looks like a DLC. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a fan, so I was very happy with what I saw. I know that everyone, Boom's an Xbot. He knows an Xbot guy. But I buy all of Sony's first party. And God of War, I'm going to buy because I didn't platinum the first one. I just didn't platinum it, but I beat the hell out of it. And I'm playing through it again on New Game Plus. I'm really enjoying it. And when you look at what came out in 2018, it's still hard to believe that actually was on a PlayStation 4. Of course, I'm playing the PlayStation. I'm playing it on my PlayStation 5. I didn't pay for an upgrade. I'm just playing, the PlayStation 4 version, but it still looks magnificent. But look, there were a lot of things that we learned about gaming for the remainder of the year at Gamescom. Lies of P has been quoted as, and this comes from Jez Corden of Windows Central, one of the most monumental and important third-party deals Xbox Game Pass may ever have. I mean, those are bold words. I mean, he got a chance to play it at Gamescom. And he was incredibly impressed. We learned that on November 8th, besides God of War, Sonic Frontiers is releasing. And, there are some people that say, well, how dare Sonic and Sega take on the king? Well, folks, I'm here to tell you live on the air that Kay Asante and I are going to have a bet where, and get ready, folks, clutch your pearls, because here it comes. Sonic Frontiers is going to sell 2 times the amount of God of War for MPD in that month.
Agreed.
Not 1, 2 times. So God of War sells 3 million, which is what I'm thinking it's going to sell. I figured maybe 10%, maybe 15%, even if it sold 4 million. Let's just say for shits and giggles. I am telling you right now, Sonic Frontiers is going to double it up. Whatever it sells, Sonic Frontiers is going to put it in the outhouse and say, hang out here, I'll come get you in a bit. That is what I think is going to happen. Not because God of War is going to suck, because Sonic Frontiers looks like a Game of the Year contender. And not saying that Kratos isn't, but I'm just saying, in my humble opinion, I think it doubles it up. And I have taken a bet with Kay Asante that if I lose, I have to give up both knees live on the air. And I will gladly do that. But I think that those knees, and they better not be ashy, better come on to me and hang them on. So I'm gonna hang them somewhere in my collection. I'm gonna hang them right there next to Batman. Bloop, right there. Those are Kay Asante's knees right there. I see it.
Okay.
They'll be there.
I hear you.
So,
Okay.
They'll be there. I agree.
I went in on this bet. I don't know about the 2-1.
No. See,
I do think Sonic takes.
Boom,
wait a minute.
Boom is burying the lead here. Boom is he's skewing the view here. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, Boom, can I please just regale the audience with a little bit?
Please let them know how we have.
Okay, so this is what happened.
We have Judas in the midst.
Hold on. This is what happened. Okay, so
I know where this is going.
He knows where this is going. So hold on. So I'm on the phone, right? I'm on the phone with Everborn Saga, and I'm like, look, I think
And then you got
Sega.
on the phone with Boom snitching, but go ahead.
Hold on.
Wow. Jesus.
Wow, it's already getting
See what
there.
you walked in
All
with,
right.
Dutch? You've been off for a while. You come
Can you
back to
imagine?
this.
So I'm on the phone with Everborn, right? And I'm like, I think Microsoft should talk to Sega, and Sega should talk to Microsoft, and we should see, Sonic on Game Pass, because whether or not you like it or not, you're going up against Kratos that day, right? Many have moved. You're going up against Kratos that day, right? And it's a known commodity. Yes, so is Sonic, understood. But the reviews of it so far, the previews of it so far have been mixed. Some think it's great. Others still are like, all that. So if you're working with Microsoft, which it seems like they have this strategic partnership, it'd behoove you to have a bit of Game Pass behind you. So you have a bit of that buffer, right? So we're talking this and that. Come to find out, now audience, check this out. Come to find out, Everborn Judas, it seems that I'm the one who is the Sonic fan amongst us, because although he wants the game to be good, he wants to sacrifice the game at the altar of game of salesmanship.
Sir, you're editorializing.
Okay, well, you can call it strategic if you want, but you want it to be the way of, if I'm not mistaken, Titanfall 2. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
Where it's an amazing game, but it doesn't.
But
sell
nobody plays
well.
it. But it doesn't sell well.
Well, let me
Why?
tell you why.
Why? Because Daddy likes them on their knees. I'm sorry. Let's go for it. Go ahead. That's why.
So the idea is in November, should be right around the time November, December, early January is when we all think that the Activision deal is going to close, which means they will be primed.
You see where we're going here?
Hold on a minute. Let me finish.
Keep going.
So I say Sega, the reason I don't think Sega would put Sonic Frontiers in Game Pass is because they really need this to be a hit. And that's why they said they're not going to delay. Sure. They know what they're doing, because at the end of the day, the Sonic movies were amazing, but they did 300 million and then 400 million at the box office. But remember,
I get all your rationalization, sir, but that's not what the point is.
No, but you editorialize, so I'm explaining to the audience. So
go ahead.
Sega licensed that movie. They didn't produce it themselves. They're not getting all that money, right? So they need right now, when Sonic is more popular than he's ever been, or at least as popular as he was in the 90s, because Sonic is crazy right now.
Well, but why don't you want them to succeed?
Can I finish, sir? Please. Please and thank you. So Sonic, they need this game to hit for the financial stability of the company. And if it doesn't hit financially, I think that they may be in dire straits. And if they are in dire straits, that is when Amy Hood and Phil Spencer get together and say, it's time to make a move.
So again, you want Papa needs them on their knees. So these guys have to come on their knees. See, so I hear this.
I don't
and I'm like,
that.
come on now. Everborn Judas. This is ridiculous. So I speak to Boom. And I'm like, Boom, did you hear this ridiculousness? And then hold on. I will let you rebut. But then instead of Boom going there with me, he goes, all of a sudden out of nowhere, the man doesn't smoke, but he's high. He doesn't drink, but he is drunk. He's like, oh, I'll do you one better. They don't need Game Pass. They're going to do 2-1. I'm like, what are you talking about right now?
I actually agree with them.
Seriously.
Yes, dude. It's a multi-plat, bro. It's on the Switch. Every Switch owner is going to want this game, dude.
Hang on. There's something you're missing here. The game has got to be a critical success.
Exactly.
That's the number one thing, though. We're hinging it on the fact that
Sonic's
we think this is going to be.
It's like a foregone conclusion or something that is going to be good. That's not the case.
I agree with you, Asante. It's not a foregone conclusion because the last 4 games have not been great. Okay, but not great.
But I will say
Sonic
this.
Colors, how much did it sell? It was on Switch and everything.
How
much did it sell?
Didn't sell,
but the Sonic movie with Jim Carrey wasn't out back then, sir.
Yeah, but the first Sonic movie was out back then.
PlayStation
Kratos
gamers,
is not really kid friendly either.
Exactly. PlayStation gamers.
Oh no, don't get me wrong.
Don't
get me wrong. Let me be clear. Let me be absolutely clear. A perfectly like 9 out of 10 Sonic game will best anyone in show that day. I don't doubt that. Okay, that is not why I am saying this is ridiculous. I am saying this is ridiculous because Sonic Team has proven themselves not to be ones to be trusted when the critical the franchise is on the line. Okay, I hope I am wrong. Now, this is why I'm saying Everborn Judas, because I seem to be the one that wants the game to be good and successful.
Okay, but
I want them to sell all the.
But he wants it for selfish reasons.
Oh yeah, he wants it to be sacrificed at the altar of ultimately Xbox will buy them. You know?
Xbox gets it, yeah.
Exactly. I already believe the game will be great.
I know.
That's not what we're debating. I'm just saying if it doesn't do well financially.
Because Daddy doesn't like them on their feet. He needs them on their knees, you know.
Jesus.
That's when you get the phone call from Phil with an offer you can't refuse and a horse head in your bed when you wake up in the morning.
Listen to this.
Then you know what you did? You know what you just did though? Now Microsoft has inherited a mediocre product.
That's right. That's right.
That's what you don't want them to do. They're going to be like, oh, look at this. They had 5 Sonic games, not 4, then 5 Sonic games that were mediocre, and then Microsoft took them. There's not going to be much faith in the product.
Like Microsoft got ZeniMax after Fallout 76.
And to be clear here about the whole Sonic thing, to be clear here, right? We all know that Sonic Generations, the last good Sonic game, which Everborn Saga and I agree on, right?
It's a great
that
game.
last good Sonic game had them reusing Sonic worlds to remind you of that old world versus the new world, right? So they've done that before. Even with that world existing where people remember that fondly, as soon as they see reused assets in this game, they're ready to pull out the pitchforks rather than assume that it might be some narrative reason for it. People are not primed to like this game. And y'all are already on that 2-to-1 train.
I have a strong suspicion that the big picture here. The majority audience of this is not going to be, well, I mean, I'm a 52-year-old. I'm loving it because I love platformers and I love Sonic, but there's something to be said about something that Everborn mentioned. The movie did gangbuster numbers both in the theater and on digital, right?
True.
And
that's what's working in Sonic's favor.
Yes,
that is definitely working in Sonic's favor for sure.
That there's going to be a lot of Sonic, a lot of Christmas lists with Sonic Frontiers at the top of said list for a lot of kids.
Let me add another piece of thing to this. If we're all doing back to school shopping now, we're all parents here, and most people are parents in the audience and all that. How much Sonic merch do you see when you're going back to school shopping for your kids?
It's madness, dude.
Right? Yeah, it's everywhere.
I'll give
literally everywhere.
They haven't done.
I just
done
won a
good
Sonic
job
plushie last night at the
that's
fair.
for sure.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Listen, let me take it to another level. If you have an Android phone right now, go in the Google Play Store and search for Sonic-2, Sonic Boom. Over 100 million people play that game. Right? That wasn't the case when Sonic Colors was out. Right? Then go, and that's just on Android. So that doesn't account for the billion iPhone users and what percentage of them play that game. And Sonic Boom, the cartoon, has been on Netflix and does very well in the kids section.
Yeah,
it's always in the trending section.
All priming reasons for this game to do well if it's a good game.
It's got to be a good game.
I think.
So you're saying even if it's not good, it's 2-to-1.
I'm going to say, like, I get that it didn't show well initially.
Multiple times it hasn't shown well.
Yeah, but listen, we're all about what you did the last 24 hours, and that showing where he
looked much better.
Looked phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
And let's be honest.
By the way, Sonic Colors sold 2 million. Just in case anybody wants to know.
Visuals, other such things. Kids don't care about that stuff,
right? And speaking of kids, Asante, does your daughter care about the first trailer for Sonic Frontiers, or is she going to see the blue blur running and say, "Daddy, get me that game"? I don't know how much she plays video games, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh no, yeah. I hear you. She's in the bag for sure. She's in the bag. I hear you.
Aren't looking at digital fountains.
No. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And to be clear here, what did I say? I came here I came here going Everborn Trader because I want this game to do well. I do. I want this game to
I
do
want
well
Microsoft
beyond
to acquire
itself.
Sega.
I know.
gotta get
And you
your
want
priorities
to
straight.
sacrifice Sega into that volcano that Boom is driving
Whatever
past
it
right now.
takes.
If that means
Say it,
Sega
Sunday.
becomes
Jesus.
part of Microsoft.
Whatever
Like,
it
this is
takes.
the problem.
It's a sacrificial lamb.
You gotta
You know,
think about
he's
this.
treating Sega like that. Like, come on now.
God of War is going to guarantee, if you look at all the other games that came out this year, it's guaranteed to be a minimum 88 Metacritic unless it's a complete disaster, which I can't see
gonna
happen.
be. 88 is to me. I hear what you're saying. I think it's going to be a 90. Honestly,
Did you see my
yeah.
see my guy there, Neo, on Twitter? He's like, "What's going on here?" And he showed all the PS5 games that came out this year. They're all rated 88 on Metacritic exactly across the board.
wow.
Including
Okay.
Last of Us 1. Which are not even out yet. Right? They're all rated at 88 Metacritic across the board. So basically, it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be minimum 88 or
yeah.
above.
They're
That's
gonna
where
win
Sonic-
Publisher of the Year for sure.
Oh, for
Yes.
sure. Yeah, for sure. And you know the thing is, basically by default, because all the 2021 got delayed into 2022, let's face it. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. That's where Sonic is going to have its challenge. Because I don't think Sonic's going to hit an 88 or above on Metacritic. A platform game of that style, or what I'm seeing so far, it looks great, but I see it in the 80s, but not above God of War. And God of War will
that's
strictly work off
perfectly fine.
pedigree.
Like I said, this isn't us about the bet isn't so much who's going to win the meta. The bet is
who's going to sell, the active
going
users
to sell, and because Sonic is who he is, it's a year where the movie did extremely well. Merch is literally everywhere. A new Sonic game is going to be on every. See, they're going to do something that Microsoft has trouble doing, and that is selling their wares. Microsoft, we still sit here with a giant conundrum as to where the marketing team is. I mean, are they on permanent vacation? I honestly don't know, but they need to do better. Sonic is going to be on every billboard. There's going to be commercials all over the place. You're going to see it here, there, and everywhere. And I can't wait for it, because when that happens, someone's
what
knees
happens as
are
Prince
hanging out
Green
with Batman.
as Prince Green
Right
says
now.
right here? What happens when Sonic Frontiers does a 69 on Metacritic?
Then you know what? That's
It's not gonna that like I we said, Asante. It's all hinging on this
on them being good. That's
on
right.
the
That's
game being
thing.
good, like
That's
a
the
critical success.
And that's why I think it's 50-50 either way. You know, with all the stuff in your camp, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Now if PlayStation had gotten their heads out of their what's and made it day and date with PC already, which we know that's where they're headed, if that was today, that's a different equation, because then there's a lot more people that potentially could get their hands on it. We're now comparing PS4 and PS5, which admittedly PS5 is a much smaller base. PS4 is much bigger, right? 110 million or whatever still sold in plus more, most likely by now.
Yeah, I believe
in
they're
the
closer
market.
to 115 million consoles
Exactly,
for the
right.
PlayStation.
In addition to the PS5, right?
Right.
Compared to Sonic, which will be on everything, including toasters. Will it play
And
well
PS4
on
and
everything,
PS5.
including toasters?
I-
Will it play well on the
will
Switch?
We'll see.
Right? This is
Well, I mean,
thing,
look at
man.
Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey is basically the same idea, a semi-open world platformer, and that plays great on the Switch. I can see
but
that.
that's different. No, see, what you're comparing this is the difference is you're comparing the team that made Mario
okay,
Odyssey,
fair enough, yeah.
who is used to the abacus known as the Switch, versus the Team Sonic, who has to make it work on the supercomputer of the highest order, as well as the toaster known as the Switch,
Fair.
and everything in between.
And I don't.
No, I
know.
mean, listen.
different
So on
order, you know?
on paper,
Switch
this
was
could sell well because of the sheer numbers, or the sheer numbers of where it's going to be released. But whether it does is a whole different ball game, right? Because
Hey,
I
I
don't
hope
know.
I'm wrong. I will be glad to bend the knee on that account. I'm just saying, putting so much faith into this team. Ooh, we shall see. It'll be interesting. Oh boy, look.
Well, you know what?
Watch this space, as they say.
Also, I would like to add that Team Sonic did not make Sonic Colors. They farmed that out.
Yes.
Is that that's like that? That's like that. Fallout 76 excuse. Understood. Yeah, that's
Just
good
saying.
Look,
You just have
well, you
to
know
keep
what?
that in-
It is true. It is true.
Let me catch up on some of the super chats. We also got a new channel member. First of all, the first super chat of the day comes the way of Shooter 2853, generous friend, all the way down under. It says this after dropping an outstanding $20 super chat. Says, "Good day, Mr. and Mrs. Boom, esteemed members of the panel. It's the first day of spring. The birds and the bees are at it. Ah, memories. Here is to another great show." Well, thank you so much for the generosity, Shooter, but more importantly, being here and supporting the channel with your views as well. Also, Rich Maharg, I believe it's pronounced, drops a $30 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Rich. He says, "I remember seeing the trailers for The Wolf Among Us." Yeah, I think you meant 2. Yes, I cannot wait. I don't know where that game is, to be honest with you, because I freaking loved the first one. He says, "And nothing the past 2 years. Maybe we get an update at the Game Awards." I mean, that's a good spot for it, to be honest with you. I haven't heard anything, but you never know. And he also says, also survival movies or survival game, which do you prefer? If my brother Neo Mental was here, he would pick survival game. I'm here. I'm going to say survival movie. Survival games just normally don't do it for me. Like I played and quite enjoyed State of Decay 2. Like I put almost 60 hours into that game. Really, really enjoyed it. Was really hoping that, that we get a standard single player campaign and we have the multiplayer survival stuff somewhere else. But I would definitely do the survival movie. But listen, let's keep Kratos in the mix here because, like I said, to open the show, we got some footage from Game Informer. Now, it wasn't a lot, but it showed Kratos. Look, I know that, again, there's been a lot of debate. Oh, my God, it looks like Kratos, the God of War 2018. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. If I get Kratos 2018 in 2022 and it's a new story, you know what? They got Boom's money because I really thoroughly enjoyed God of War. Remember, I mean, I'm an OG. I played it on the PlayStation. When it originally launched, the trilogy there, I played it on PSP. I beat both of those. I'm a big fan of Kratos. I'm very much looking forward to this. I don't see where the controversy is. I know that there's some people, but it's DLC, but doesn't really matter if it's a new story. For me, it doesn't, to be honest with you. So I'm in the bag day one. I still think it's losing 2-1 to Sonic, but that's a story for another top podcast. Asante, did you get a chance to take a look at the footage? And what are your initial thoughts? Because again, there's two sides going crazy over this thing. It looks really good.
Yeah. So okay. So real quick, I see the chat going back and forth on the previous topic we had, which we'll still keep talking about a little bit. But just so we're clear, so we're clear, those who I am not putting too much stock into Metacritic. I think at the upper echelons it turns into console war fodder, right? But by and large, it is a barometer of quality but most of us use, right?
Right.
At a certain threshold, who cares if it's 88 versus 86 versus 87 versus who cares?
I agree.
Right? It's just a barometer of quality. Needless to say, I could care less. But okay, addressing let's get to the God of War stuff. Okay, so you guys know that I play on everything, and you guys have seen me play on PC. You see me play on console. You see me play on Steam Deck and this and that. And from time to time, my panel members will rib me because I'll say, hey, that's when you'll pull out the console has the higher threshold for quality versus other consoles, or the PC, I should say, PCMR or whatever you'll call it, right? I say all that to say, even in that world where people on the PC side can pull rank and say, hey, our hardware is better than yours and this and that, when God of War 2018 came onto PC and when it came onto Steam first, it shot up to number 1 in the charts. It's still there. By and large, it's still in the top 10. It still sells ridiculous numbers. At this point, if you turn on your 3080 and you put that game on today, or a 3090 or a 40 series when it comes out, it is most likely one of the best games you will play visually at all. Seconded only by the other Sony release, by way of whether it be Spider-Man or the other games they've released. So, it stands to reason that can people complain that it's DLC? Sure you can. But it's DLC for one of the best looking games ever made that still holds up to this very day. So how much complaining can you really do in that respect? How much better do you really want it to look at that point, right? The complaint should be, oh, we see places where we could go that they're not going, right? Oh, we see avenues of growth that they're not doing and we want to see better. But this game, much like The Last of Us and a few others that has come from Sony Studios, really, really shot above its weight even back then, right? And every time new hardware comes out and every time you see new iterations of the game, it just shows you how well that game really looked in the first place. And it's a great story, and and all the PCMR folks can go blah 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 all they want, but the minute that they put that on the console, on the PC, and they play it, they got to bend the knee and go, damn, these guys, this is a really damn great game, right? And we've heard it happen over and over and over again. So in that world where that is the level of greatness and quality it is, why are we debating whether this is DLC or not? What must you see? What must blow your eyeballs out of your head before you go, okay, now I will give it the respect it deserves? Yes, it may be reused assets in a continuing world that's already established. But so what when it's the most gorgeous looking thing you've ever seen, ever created? What's the point? That's my point, my thought on it. So I saw this. Yes, it looked exactly like the version that I've seen, and I've replayed it. I'm one who has double dipped. I played it on the PS4, played it on the PS5, and I'm playing it on the PC.
Real quick.
Go ahead, everyone. Yeah.
Just one caveat to what you're saying.
Please, yes.
Any sequel in the same generation is going to
tend to reuse
the same
assets. Yes.
Right? This is not like built from the ground up, new generation sequel. So I don't think, I know that we say DLC, but I feel like that's shorthand for saying
people are using that as a pejorative, and it shouldn't be.
I don't think that DLC is a fair term for it.
Of course, it's not.
And the reason, one second, the reason people called Miles Morales a DLC was not because they were using the same assets. It's because it was a 6-hour game, right?
Sure, because it was a small
game. Therefore, calling it.
No, I understand that. No, and maybe I didn't make myself clear enough on that. I don't think it should be limited as a pejorative word to call it DLC. But even in the world where, let's assume that is a true statement. Let's assume that yes, it is DLC. Let's assume that yes, we're using it in that pejorative sense. It's still, to the greatest game, the greatest looking and one of the greatest playing games ever made. That still holds up to this very day, that beats most, if not all, games graphically. So what do you really have to say? If the game wasn't at that high level, if it didn't reach that moniker, then yeah, you might have a leg to stand on. But it does reach that level. Everyone bends the knee when you see this game on screen. PCMR folks can talk all the blah, blah, blah you want. The moment the game is played, you go, yep, console people had one. And now you finally get to experience how great that game actually was, right? So to me, that whole debate back and forth should ultimately have an end goal, meaning when it's said and done, we'll get this or we'll get that. This is the benefit we want to see that we don't see. And in this specific instance, there is no benefit that you're getting. Whether you call it DLC or you call it a fresh take, it's the best looking game you'll see probably for another generation. So just be happy with what you're getting. You're getting more in that world. And most likely, they were going to release it as an additive to your existing game and decided to make a whole separate game of it, which, hey, I don't think anything's wrong with that at all, right? I don't think anything is wrong with that absolutely at all. Now, I've played it on my PC recently, the original God of War. I played it at very high settings. Does this small snippet look like more of that? Yes, it does. But I am thankful for that, because what I saw on that screen versus what I play here still looks freaking amazing. There is no other game out there that I can say, yeah, this other game looks better than that. So to me, all the back and forth on whether it's DLC or it's not and all of this, all that is just, just ridiculous table stakes. So the game is great. It's going to continue to be great. This is more of that.
My only complaint that I would obviously have, and this is only because they have spoken about this publicly, is that this is no longer or ever going to, maybe it was never going to be a trilogy. It's literally 2 games and Ija. It's done. I don't necessarily know if that's do they kill Kratos
but you know
at
what,
the
Boom,
end?
though? You know what, Boom, though? To kind of push back just a smidge. And by the way, if you hear the gods, that is Kratos telling me that you are right and I'm wrong. There's thunder happening right around me, so forgive me if you hear the noise. But I'll push back a little bit on that because hey, maybe that's what the great creative vision allows. Not everything.
No, it's
needs
true.
To be
I mean,
free,
again,
right?
I'm not saying that they should be flogged.
Maybe the next one you see will be so good and will button up the story so well that you go, hey, that's all they could have told, and that's it, and good for them for sticking to their guns, and that's it, right? Maybe,
I mean, look,
we don't want them to cash grab and squeeze more out of the fruit than required.
Well, I mean,
right?
it's Sony, so cash grab is something that they do very well. As a matter of fact, second half of the show, folks, we're going to break down why Sony is going to lose this generation, why the arrogant Sony has returned, and why are people defending bad behavior. It blows my mind. Wandering Dutch and I were going back and forth, and I normally don't do that. Like I like to throw out a tweet. I'll answer someone. If they rebuttal, I'll throw another one. I don't usually go into these high stakes 10 tweet things because honestly, I don't have the time. I produce 4 shows per week, and I still have a household to run and a wife to tend to. Right? So I don't have that kind of time to waste on social media. But my God, the backstrokes that some people are doing for Sony it's mind-boggling how we cannot, as adults, have a conversation about pure greed, corporate greed right in front of you, and all we keep hearing is, well, I'll pay for bangers. I'll give them money because it's a higher quality product. I've heard poor pass. What do you expect? You subscribe to Poor Pass. It's wow. But like I said, we will get into it. Wandering Dutch, did you get a chance to see one of your relatives, Kratos, because you're a Viking, go out there and start chopping down people with his returnable axe? Which, again, for me personally, and obviously for Keasante, looks like it's a game that we can't wait to play, DLC or otherwise. Did you get a chance to see the footage?
Yeah, I got a chance to see the footage. As always, I'm looking forward to this game. And people hate it when you say it, but it's more of the same, and that's not a bad thing because I loved the first one. The first one when I played it was my game of the year. It's just a case of hopefully the story wraps up in a great way. We know that unlike previous iterations of God of War, this isn't a trilogy; it's a 2-part game. As much as I would have loved to see the Norse realms get a 3-part series, they've wrapped this one up quickly to kind of move things along and go on to the next after Ragnarok. But I just hope the story's great because the story in the first one was what elevated the game beyond
phenomenal.
what it was.
Phenomenal.
If it wasn't for the story, I don't think the praise for the game would have been as high. There were certain sections in the original game that were relatively repetitive. The levels themselves are relatively linear. That's not to say the game didn't look gorgeous and the combat wasn't fulfilling because you felt every punch, you felt every throw of the hammer. It felt meaty, it felt great. But if the story substance wasn't there, it wouldn't have had the same. So the story really, really matters in Ragnarok. So the only thing I'm waiting for now is to see whether or not that story lives up to expectations, and it really finalizes what we're hoping to see for the second part of God of War. As long as that hits, then there's no doubt this game will probably be on par with 2018.
Yeah.
If the story's right. If the story's done right, then it's going to be on par with 2018. Again, it's like I say, people say it's more of the same as if it's a bad thing, but it really isn't because the first one was great.
More of the same of the best thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could be said. Yeah, 100%. No, I mean, listen, I'm right there with you. I personally don't think it's a problem to have more of what really slapped in 2018 come back for 2022 and deliver what we're hoping is going to be a nice wrapped up in a bow story about Norse mythology with Kratos and his son. Obviously, he's much older in this one. I don't necessarily know how many years have passed since the end of God of War to where it is now. They'll obviously going to explain that. I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be highly reviewed. I think it's going to be one of those games that are going to be in the running for Game of the Year. Like I said, depending on how long it is, and I think didn't they come out and say that it's
Longer than the first.
It's longer than the first. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean that's phenomenal. That's worth the price of admission in my opinion.
Like I say, it's as long as that story's perfect, because it's the story that drove the first one to critical acclaim. Of course, people hated the whole father-son thing in certain aspects, and yes, Atreus was a pain.
He was a bit of a snot-nosed kid at times. Yes, he was.
And if you ask a parent. But if you ask a parent who happened to be having kids at that time, they'll tell you,
exactly what it's
I
like.
loved
pretty
it
damn
because
accurate.
of that. So,
Exactly what it's like.
You know,
it's just they get on you. They start throwing strops and tantrums, and you're like, you know what it is? I could.
Yeah. I got you.
So that's exactly how it was. That certain section of the game where he goes in a mood and he starts getting back chatty and lippy to Kratos, and you're like, ooh, you didn't.
Yeah, no. You listen. You're absolutely on
story's
point.
on point, then this game's going to do well. But it really heavily relies on the story because, like I say, as much as the gameplay and the graphics were great and stood well above everything else in the previous generation, the story literally was the crowning factor in that game, and Ragnarok needs to knock it out of the park.
Hey, do you guys want a prediction of where the story is going to go? I'm basing this off nothing. This is no leak or anything. I think,
in other words, pull it out your butt, go for it.
Yes. I think a lot of people think Kratos is going to die in the end. He's not.
No,
he's going to have to kill his son.
Come on.
I like it.
These are the seeds that they're sowing. His son's a god, no? Loki, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He's the god of war. He kills the gods.
That would be serious. If that does happen, if anybody spoils it, I'm going to kill somebody.
That's the ultimate hollow victory where you beat the game, but you know Kratos can't really have happiness, so it ends with him having to kill his own son.
Yeah, I like it. I like what you're putting down. But listen, let's bring
all
Crispy
the Norse gods got to die. Loki's one of the Norse gods.
I mean, well, he's one of them for sure. Crispy, let's bring you into the conversation. Did you get a chance to see the footage that was, and it wasn't leaked, it was put out there. Game Informer said, hey, listen, we got the cover story. We're going to give you a smidget of what we played. What'd you think?
Looks like another God of War. Might as well be like the people are with Gears, right?
Well, that's something to be said. That we get a lot of
I think that's why they're
Gears.
Well, I think that's why they're killing this new way they've done the game. You know what I mean? I think they're killing it quick because they don't want to be repetitive, which I'll give them credit for that. But also, where do they go next? You know what I mean?
That's the question.
Do they go back to the old play style for like a smaller game or something like that to throw it out there? This is where we go and say, like, the concern for diehard Sony fans that are not the fanboys who just love the games like yourself, Boom, with these games as a service and stuff like that. What are they thinking for some of these big studios that they have? Are they going to continue to do the same things? Are you going to get a new IP from them? What's going on there? The gameplay looked good. The visuals, I mean, I don't get people. Like, come on, dude. Like, it looks fine. Like, they're not. First of all, they still have more people to have a PS4, and now you up the price, like, on the PS5 for the majority of people, outside the US. So, and what they're tacking on Horizon Forbidden West and like just about anywhere you can get it for an extra $50.
Right now in the United States, the only PlayStation 5s you can find is from scalpers, which we say no to them and give them the big FU, and you can go and you can find bundles, bundles of the PlayStation 5 with Horizon which that's what they're offering.
You know, and that's where you go and say, like, the people that don't have a PS5, you're starting to get into territory where if they do have like a series console, they have a good PC, they're going to be like, well, I really don't want to play this on my PlayStation 4 because I think it's going to look way better and probably play way better on my PS5. I'm just going to wait. The problem with waiting is we waited 2 years thinking that at least there'd be in stock or the price would drop. But guess what? They upped the price on you. So it's like, you know, myself, I wasn't completely against getting a PlayStation 5, but now I'm like, well, what are they going to do in the next 2 years? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, are they going to come out with a new iteration, just stop making it? Are they going to, you know, come out with, you know, it'll be back to 500? It's like, dude, when I don't have a console that I'm playing like at least like, you know, 20 hours a week, I just want that at the cheapest price possible. And I just want to play, you know, the certain games that they have. So, you know, I think there's a lot of people having this debate with themselves right now, and this will probably spin right into the next topic. But the game looks good. I think, you know, some of you guys are going a little wild with the DLC and stuff like that. The game is long enough. Let's not go there. I mean, if you want to start, you know, talking about Last of Us Part 1, you know, remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it, that's a different story. But this game looks legit, and it's going to sell really well, and I'm sure it's at least going to be 85 plus.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. Mag, let's get your opinion. As someone
Yes,
that
sir.
platinumed God of War 2018, and you quite enjoyed yourself doing so, what is there to be say about people using the tagline, oh, but it's just DLC? I mean...
Well, I'll give you an answer. I'll give you two answers. I'll give you my conspiratorial answer. That'll be the one that I end with. That's the banger, so to speak. It's not a DLC anymore.
Right.
That's the way I'm going to say it. They took the extra year and a half because, well, first of all, we already know what they did. I think this game was pretty much ready. Actually, I think it was Dutch who pointed it out about a year ago about the different realms that were already on the map in the original game.
Yeah, you had no access to them.
They were there. You just couldn't access them, right? So the plan was this, and this is my conspiratorial side of me, okay? Right around that time, within a few years of the first God of War, a year before, 2 years before, and 2 years and 1 year after, Sony had this thing going on. It was sort of a trend, and the trend was you released a game and then you released a substantial DLC for about half the price of a game. Okay, so we're gonna go with Last of Us 1, and then they had that, I can't remember what the hell it was called. It's part of the new one now. Anyways, there was that little DLC that they added on. They had to buy, right?
Right.
Then you had Uncharted 4 come out at some point, I think 2016 or whatever it was.
Lost Legacy, right after that.
And then right after it, about a year and a half later, they released Lost Legacy for about $30. And it was what? A 3 to 5 hour campaign. Amazing game, by the way.
It was phenomenal.
One of my favorites. I mean, I replayed it in the Legacy of Thieves edition that came out earlier this year. Absolutely phenomenal because I platinumed all 5 of them. So anyways, the point is, then you had Spider-Man come out. And then what did they do? They did the exact same thing again. So you see the trend. Then there was a Miles Morales, which is anywhere between a 3 to 5 hour campaign based on the same assets. So which presumably should have sold for half the price. But what they did is they used that to launch the PS5 because they didn't have anything to go, at the launch. They wanted a hot title, especially with a name like Spider-Man. I don't blame them. I do the same thing. Then you got God of War. Come on, guys. You can't be this ridiculous to not see the pattern here, right? And then on top of it, they said, oh, it's launching in 2021. Everybody was like, how the hell did they turn it around so quick that they were able to get a sequel out that fast? Why? Because it was DLC originally. Then what they said is like, you know what? The jig is up, folks. I think people are on to us. They know what's going on. Sony Santa Monica, start adding content, stretch this game out. Add more content. You know what I'm saying? Turn this into a full-fledged game, and we're going to be charging $70 for it. Okay? Not $60. So that's what they did. They said it was going to come out in 2021. We all knew that was a lie because that was just a way to get everybody to pre-order the PS5. We already know that, right? That was the game then. Get it. But then all of a sudden they delayed it, and then they delayed it, and they delayed it, and they delayed it. I understand there were other reasons. There were other extenuating circumstances as to why they delayed it because the man who did the voice of Kratos, he had some issues, right? At some point. Were they health issues, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, he had
And,
multiple surgeries. He had one on his
yeah.
knee, one on his shoulder, one on his back. Yeah, they
So there were
literally
reasons.
delayed it for him. He actually came out and made a public statement regarding
Yeah.
it.
So I'm never gonna downplay that, right? I'm just saying this is like a conspiratorial side thing, in case anybody thinks I'm nuts. I mean, people know I'm nuts, but more nuts than I normally am. But anyways, the idea is I could see that the more they delayed it, I'm like, they're stretching this damn game out. They're turning it from a 5 to 10 hour campaign into like a 20 to 30 hour by adding all this other content or whatever else. And like I said, that is just a thought. Okay. Now, the other thing is, in terms of like reusing assets, there's no mystery as to what that's going to happen anyway, because it makes the development of the game easier. And from the player's point of view, it shows familiarity in something, and people enjoy familiarity. That's why people go out to see sequels. They like more of the same. If you have Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, sure, there's slightly different stories, but it's still a guy in a suit. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. So it's still the same idea. Horizon Forbidden West, by the way, there were a lot of people clowning on it because they were making, it's like, oh, look, she's doing the exact same thing as the last one. The rappel. Remember that? There were people putting side-by-side comparisons of Forbidden West and Zero Dawn, right? And she does the rappel thing and then slides backwards or whatever. They're like, look, it's just the same old crap from before. Horizon Forbidden West is probably the most beautiful open-world game I've ever seen. And that's saying something when you've got the likes of Ubisoft making their Assassin's Creed games. Say what you want about like the fetch quest. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the beauty of the world. Man, Ubisoft knows how to make a gorgeous open world, especially in Assassin's Creed, and they put their money and time into it, right? So I'm looking at this game, and Horizon Forbidden West, sure, it reused a lot of assets, but it's probably one of the most beautiful and best open world games, best designed open world games I have ever played, period. And I just platinumed that last week, by the way. So amazing. So I expect big things from this game. I like more of the same. I actually think that Red Dead Redemption 2 was the better game of the year in 2018. However, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the kind of game you play once because the story took me 110 hours, right? I'm not going to go back and play that. But God of War, I went back and played 3 times, and I platinumed it, right? So I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this. I will be there day one playing it as well as everybody else. So, I mean, everybody else who's going to be buying the game anyhow. So, anyways, I'm not worried about it. I like all these different thoughts that I have. Some of it's a little, like I said, some of it's a little bit conspiratorial, but the rest of it, at the end of the day, it's going to be a fantastic game. It's going to deliver. It's going to deliver like it did before, and they continue to do so. I know we clown, I know like some of us, especially me, doing these videos and stuff, I like to clown on the Sony guys and this and that and the other thing. But you know what? There's one thing that at the end of the day, and Sony's a scumbag company. I don't care what anybody says. They are scumbag number one. And I will always
Indeed,
hate
they
them.
are. And we're going to get into why they are.
We're going to get into that in the next hour, guaranteed. And the thing is, I will always hate that company because of the way they are. However, it's not the studio's fault that they work for a bunch of douchebags. Those studios make fantastic games.
Oh, yeah.
So I really look
that their studios are incredibly talented.
They're incredibly talented.
No
and you got to give it to Sony, even though I don't like them. You got to give it to them that they recognize talent. And when they see talent, they snap them up real quick because they know that they put out quality product. So anyways, at the long story longer, I just wanted to say, no, I don't it's not DLC anymore. Maybe it was at one point, but either way, I don't care because I think the game is going to be great and I can't wait to get into it.
Oh, good stuff. Everborn Saga, let's get your final opinion on it. So we're going to get to the second half of the show where we're going to break down why I believe Sony is destined to lose this generation, and there is room for conversation about an arrogant Sony caring less and less about its fan base and more about their profit. And if you are defending this, you probably should have your head examined, especially how we're going to break this down.
Well, maybe Boom, and I know we're going to come to that, but maybe I need my head examined because I am defending Sony. Charge them more.
Yeah, well, you know what? But you're different because you want to sell a shirt, number one, so I get it. And number two, yes, you're laughing.
No, I want Sony to take all their money. That's what I want.
Yes.
They're begging for it. They're asking for it. They're saying, please, sir, may I have another?
Yeah,
so charge those mother efforts. But anyway, let's get to the topic at hand, and then we'll come to that.
Yeah, so give us your thoughts on what a lot of the controversy has been from today. More of the same, very samey. It's God of War. It's Angry Dad. I disagree with all of that because I am a God of War fan. I loved what they did with the what Corey Barlog and the team did in 2018 God of War. I am definitely going to be enjoying this. I don't know if I'm ever going to platinum the game per se, but I'm certainly going to play through it and maybe start running through it on New Game Plus, depending on where the story goes. Did you see it? What are your thoughts?
I did see it. So I actually played God of War for the first time in 2021.
Good for you, dude. Good for
The
you.
PS5 patch.
Yeah.
Amazing. Still holds up. If you told me it was a next-gen only game, I would have believed you.
Yep.
Right? So the fact that the game does look exactly the same is not a negative. Not in my book, anyway. I loved where the story ended. I have theories about where it's going to go, and I can't wait to play that out. And there was that guy the other day that said how God of War is just like cutscene after cutscene. It's not. It's a real hardcore game. And if you don't believe me, go searching for those Valkyries after you beat the game.
Oh
Now,
man, those Valkyries.
Hard at that final one. I still haven't beat her.
That was the
Ridiculous.
platinum for me, Boom? Was the final Valkyrie. I had every other trophy except for that one, and
Dude,
when I hit that one, that's when I got the
died
platinum.
on that last Valkyrie 100
Okay.
plus times.
who's worse, that Valkyrie or Melina? I'm gonna lean Melina, but
I don't know. That Valkyrie.
Who the hell is
was
Melina?
vicious.
see, that's Elden Ring talk.
Oh,
Oh,
Elden
no.
Ring. I beat Elden Ring too,
Yeah,
Everborn.
Melina-
Jeez, I just didn't remember the
Melina,
name.
she's
I
optional.
beat Melina on the second go round, to be honest with you.
I still
was
haven't
OP,
beat Melina.
though.
I actually found it to be easier to beat the Valkyrie than it was to beat Elden Ring, but it depends on your build,
yeah.
right? Whereas God of War, there is no build. It's just a matter of. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Anyway, don't talk about Elden Ring. We'll go to a whole other place. But anyway, my point is, I do not think the game will score in the 90s. Happy to be wrong because I hope that the game's great. But one thing that the 2018 game had going for it is that it was new, right? It was a departure from the way we originally recognized Kratos. So in the same way that Horizon Forbidden West, as amazing as it looked, and you guys say it plays, I haven't played that one yet. Because for me, the first one, it felt like a chore, but that's because I started playing it when I knew the other one was coming out. So maybe that's why it felt like a chore. But I hope the second one's better. I will be playing it sometime soon. But anyway, it got an 88 because it wasn't really new, I think. I think if this was your first time experiencing it or as a next-gen upgrade, I think maybe that game scores in the 90s. I don't know. But because this God of War is a known quantity, people are going to be playing it to continue that story. And I think that will weigh in on the score. So my meta prediction is 88 or 89. That's what that says. For me, when I call a game a DLC, it's going to be the amount of content that it provides, right? So this is supposed to be like a 50-hour campaign.
Yeah, they said it's actually larger than the original.
That alone takes it out of that DLC category.
I agree.
Every sequel reuses assets. Elden Ring, brand new game, still using 20-year-old animations, right?
You know what, Everborn? We should really be careful in the parlance and the words that we use, because even in the framing that you said that right there, and you're absolutely right. The amount of content added should dictate whether it's DLC form or not. But then you get somebody like CDPR, which give you DLC that tend to be more than the base game itself.
Yeah, but
so that breaks the whole mold there,
So, but they could have packaged that as a sequel.
As a sequel, exactly,
But
and they chose to use that as DLC. So that idea, we should be very careful what they think of as DLC.
Blood and Wine is effectively a sequel.
Basically,
Pretty much.
yes.
Yeah.
My point is, I do not think it's fair. If you want to call Miles Morales DLC, go right ahead. If you want to call Iki Island DLC and not a director's cut, be my guest, right? Ragnarok is a full game. It is a legit sequel by any standards. It's just not a next-gen game. If it was a next-gen game, that's fine, but it is cross-gen, so it is entirely fair for them to, use the same engine and assets, a lot of them, and then add content where it is due. So I think we all, if we're calling it DLC, I think we're doing the game a disservice, and I also think we're making ourselves look a little bit foolish. If we,
listen, I don't think anyone on the panel would be calling it DLC. We're just referring to exactly what some of the community members, and again, I just want this to be clear: the toxic gaming community, they suck, and I don't care what banner you wear, whether it's Nintendo, PlayStation, or Xbox. If you're a part of that crew, normally, almost 10 out of 10 times, I will not deal with you because I don't like that rhetoric. I don't like pony. I don't like bot. I don't like Nintendork. I don't like any of these terminologies because I find them to be quite offensive. And that's why you'll never see me saying that.
I've never heard that one.
No, the Nintendork one always makes me laugh. It just sounds so funny. You never heard that?
It's funny because it's ridiculous. That's why it's funny.
Nintendrone.
I'm learning new ones, man. This is amazing.
I've called a few people Nintendorks because just to rile them up. I'm just goofing around, but I mean, still.
But you're jiving, which is fun. It's
fun. I'm just doing it for fun.
People dweebs again. You remember that?
Get out of here. That's coming. That's making a comeback.
Yeah, nothing I hate more.
We can make this
nothing I hate more than those who are insulting other people by what they like, and also them damn Nintendorks.
Yeah, those damn
I love
Nintendo.
It.
Such nerds.
And then finishing up, I do want to say something about Last of Us before we move on. Just really quickly, I won't take long.
Yeah,
I want to do just a quick thought experiment here, right? One of my favorite, maybe my third or fourth favorite game of all time is Halo 3. You can go look at Everborn Saga on Xbox. It is the game that I've put the most time into of any game, or any recorded time game, because that's like a new thing. I love that game, right? It came out in the PS3 360 era, so around the time of Last of Us, the first one. If they told me they were making a remake of that today with updated next-gen graphics, right? But they also said we're not adding any new missions, the story is exactly the same, and you don't have multiplayer, but we're still going to charge you a full price game, would we say that is worth it, or would we say get the F out of my face?
I have come out against Microsoft multiple times, the same way I did today with their marketing, which is egregious, and they just won't hire me, which I have better ideas than the people that are making six figures. But the truth of the matter is, we would all be outraged, because I would be like, how are we paying more for an old game, and you're taking literally half of what the game was when it came out, and then it was re-released, you took half of it away, and I have a strong suspicion that they're going to be charging for that at some point. No, we would all be pissed.
Everyone would be pissed, and everyone would get together.
Well, the media would be more pissed because, the media is very biased. But that's
I don't want to hear anyone say Last of Us is all about the story, because back in the days of Halo 3, Halo was cinematic gaming at its finest, and it was all about story just as much as it was about multiplayer. So again, would we accept a remade Halo 3 with today's graphics, but no multiplayer and 0 new missions, and then charge $70 for it? I think they'd get laughed out of the room. But for some reason, we have a bit of a double standard here. That's what I want.
You know what? It's funny because we're actually going to have that conversation this Friday. We're going to talk about it, because obviously the scores are now starting to come out, and I didn't want to make it a topic because not all the scores have been made. I think it's currently sitting at an 88 meta right now. We've seen hundreds, we've seen tens. I actually saw one, which I don't have in front of me, that said, for what they have presented versus the original game, normally we would give it a 7 out of 10. But because it's Naughty Dog's masterpiece, we have to give it a 10 out of 10. That's literally what it said.
That was IGN.
That was
By the way.
that's literally what it
That was
said.
IGN that said that?
Yes.
That was IGN, yeah. But
Yeah.
you know, they're a
Mhm.
bunch of
No,
whatever.
that couldn't be IGN.
Yeah, it
Naked
is.
on
It's
its
IGN.
face, right?
It's
Naked
not
on its
IGN US.
face.
It's IGN France. Is what,
Yeah, it was IGN. Oh, it's
I was
France.
gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that's some like fly by night that knew they would get clicks because they knew that was the sentiment. So they
Right?
write that down. That can't be IGN. Huh. Are they?
Yep.
Do they license the IGN name in France?
They
Maybe
are
so they're not-
affiliated. They're affiliated with
Okay.
IGN.
Well, yeah, because they have IGNs all over the world, right?
Yeah,
They have
all
IGN
over the
Italy
world,
and
yeah.
whatever,
Yeah, but I think
France,
you can
Germany.
just pay IGN to use their name in those other countries, and it's not really
Right.
IGN. I'm trying to give IGN the benefit of the doubt. 'Cause
Don't
that's
do that.
crazy.
Why?
That is
Don't
crazy.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't
Wow.
give them benefit of the doubt because they're a bunch of scumbags. But that's a horse another color. Listen, I want to get into what is being considered by many one of my most controversial, unthought-provoking, I would say rage-provoking thumbnails that I've ever personally made. And I got a lot of slack for it. I personally think it's hilarious, but I think why it's hilarious isn't because it's poking fun at Jim Ryan and his ridiculousness or SIE and, doing something unprecedented in gaming, like raising the price of a console 2 years into its generation. I mean, this is just the Sony we know, and people are accepting it and, licking that boot, so to speak. I have on here How to Lose a Generation with Jim Ryan with the comic bubble, and what I have with the blue check marks because it's Sony and they're blue. $70 games, $10 upgrade fees, PlayStation Plus more expensive, raise the price of the PlayStation 5, and of course, finally no cross buy on PC. But you know something? You know why there's not more? Because I ran out of room. That's why there's not more. We have seen We Believe in Generations. We have seen, well, our community doesn't play old games. Why do they want to play that old game? But yet their service, which is $3 more than Xbox Game Pass, is littered with old games that their community used to shove up the nose of every Xbox fan when we were enjoying backwards compatibility. And instead of getting it for free, well, now you suckers, including myself, because I'm a sucker too, I'm paying for it with my premium subscription. We also got to the cattiness at the beginning of the year with the free upgrade path for Horizon Zero Dawn that was mentioned and then taken away in a very sly and deceptive way. As a matter of fact, you couldn't find the PlayStation 5 version to download for free on the main page or your PlayStation 5. I had to download it through the app because they hid it from you. And people went out and bought the $10 more version, and Everborn is one of them because he didn't want any S at the end
Ryan
of the day.
said, "Gotcha, bitch."
Yeah, and they gotcha. So look, there's people that they raised the price of the controller. They have done everything and anything that again, we have to talk double standards here, folks. I want to get real with this. I want it to be a great conversation. There's no reason to be cursing and acting a fool. The reality is, if Microsoft would have done half of this shit, they would have been hung by their Buster Browns and ridiculed across the gaming space, both with the public and the gaming media, right? But every time Sony kicks mud in the player's face, it's gospel. It's something that we have to accept because, well, they make bangers over there at SIE. So F it. Let's just take another one for the team, and I'm bending over right now. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm going to go to the mag first on this because obviously you got a lot going on the back end. We want to make sure you get your bars and you drop your bars here. You despise Sony.
Yep.
You hate Sony, but you love PlayStation. Is it safe to say that at some point with Jim Ryan looking to rake the player over the coal, could PlayStation get into that hate relationship when they continue to overcharge And I mean, some people would say, well, boom, they overcharge, but they overdeliver. Well, I mean, if you want to say that, Horizon, great looking game, take nothing away from what they did over, at that studio, right? What they did was amazing, but it launched on Sony like. It had bugs after bugs after bugs. You had clickers in that game because the twitching was so immense on some of the NPCs. Like you saw a clicker, like, is that a clicker? Holy crap! I didn't know they went back all that far. The worlds have merged. Gran Turismo. I was expecting for them to return to greatness. Yeah, they will return to greatness of taking money out your wallet because they charge you for pretty much everything, and the game didn't run that good. Now, granted, The Last of Us is getting good reviews, and I would imagine that, with 19 studios working on this game for Sony, which is probably what it came out to, the game is going to be it's literally reskinned, and there's nothing wrong with that. I take nothing. The game is a phenomenal game in its own right. One of the top stories I've ever played, where I got emotional. Right, so it's great, but it's really, there's nothing new to the game, and every review says that. Well, if we were just reviewing the game for what it is, it's really more of the same, and there's no real differences. But it's Naughty Dog's, so we got to give it a 10. They get the wallet, they get the money sent on in the paper where they're sitting down. Here's the money, and they go. I mean, and God of War. Listen, God of War is going to be amazing. That's probably going to be the top tier for PlayStation this year. But Mag, in modern gaming, we have never seen a company, regardless of what the market looked like, raise a console $50 across the entire globe, except for the Americas, which we know that they're they're like dirt dastardly, right? They say no, we didn't raise it in America, which they actually did, because you can't find a PlayStation 5 without a bundle, and those bundles are $550 because they're selling you Horizon. Now, some people will like that, and there's a lot of people that don't play their first party games because we know that they don't, just based on the numbers. So maybe you didn't want Horizon, but you now are forced to buy it. So for Sony, they get their extra $50 because that digital code isn't costing them anything, but they also get to flaunt, oh, well, look at the sales of this one. It came back out of nowhere. You see, everyone loves Horizon, when we know that they're bundling it so it doesn't really count. I mean, $10 upgrade fees for games that come the way of smart delivery for Xbox. Their streaming service is $3 more, but there's no day-and-date games in there, only old games. And all of the old games, well, most of them aren't high-res or double the frame rate, and they don't offer free HDR or anything like that. If you want these games, you got to pay for them. Listen, they are doing what people are allowing them to do by defending this bad behavior. What are your thoughts? And with this continued behavior, Mag, do they see the loss of the generation, or at least market leader?
100% they're going to lose the generation. There's no question in my mind. There's no question, period. All you have to do is just look at what's going to happen, what's happening, the trends that are happening, where things are going. The problem is the pandemic and all that other stuff. Yeah, okay, people can say, oh, blame the pandemic. Stop blaming the pandemic. The pandemic has ruined the world for years to come. If you don't know that, then you don't know anything about the world. You don't know it. You can't even go to the store and buy a bunch of bananas because the supply chain is still messed up. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Microsoft got hit really hard with this, and then for two reasons. One, they were in the middle of acquisitions, and at the same time, a pandemic hit. So they got held back a little bit. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is that you think about what's going on here, okay? Everything that you just said, I do not have to reiterate or regurgitate everything you said because you said it perfectly. All the things that they have been doing wrong. They have been doing this generation wrong 8 months before we saw what the console even looked like with all their messaging. You guys remember that way back in the January of 2020 and all that stuff? The garbage coming out of their mouths. And you're going, guys, I was raising red flags right away going, This sounds a whole lot like PS3. And the funny thing is, people are like, you're an idiot, Mag. You don't know what you're saying, Mag. You're a bot, Mag. Blah, 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 Mag. And guess what? Mag, 2 years later, everybody's going, well, I guess it kind of sounds like the PS3 era. I'm like, oh, I mean, like the thing I said 2 years ago, have some foresight, folks. Can't you just see it? Can't you, as Sante likes to say, read the tea leaves, baby. They're right there. They're right there. They've been there for 2 years now. Now, here's the thing. You see what's going on here. Like you look at the like for example 2022, the reason why Xbox has not completely dominated is because this year has, let's face it, they've had a complete lack of competition against Sony. Sony had a piss poor 2021, and a lot of their games got pushed into 2022. Great for them.
The same year that Microsoft is currently having, that's a great point, that Microsoft has doled out for its fans this year is what Sony doled out for its fans last year.
Right. And so now you think about this situation, you think about that, you look at what happened. Microsoft ends up winning Publisher of the Year in 2021. And then all of a sudden they don't have any games or anything coming out this year, right? And a lot of things got pushed and well, we all know the story, right? But for some reason, they're winning NPDs. For some reason, they're outselling. For some reason, they're outperforming Sony. And there's a reason for that. Now, it's not just the great value. Let's face it. There's also something else. It takes time for the general public to understand and see what has happened. Like, for example, if you look at Hollywood, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 was the biggest grossing Spider-Man of the trilogy, but everybody knows that the second one was the best one. The reason why the third one did so well is because the second one was so damn good. So everybody had automatically assumed the third was going to be great, right? Same thing with Blade, for example. Blade 1, superior film to Blade 2. However, Blade 2 was the highest grossing film of the trilogy based on the merits of the first one. Yeah. I'm bringing that up again is because Microsoft
that Blade 3 exists. Blade 3 didn't happen.
Hey, that never happened. Okay, the whole Triple H thing never happened. Anyways,
and Ryan Reynolds, don't forget.
Oh God, don't even remind me. So here's the thing. You look at that, and now you look at what happened in 2021. The reason why Microsoft is doing so well this year, yes, they have an abundance of supply, and also, yes, they were the better value, but it was based on everything that happened in 2021. And therefore, people starting investing in the ecosystem. So they're kind of falling apart at the end of the year here. Maybe not so much because they got a lot of Game Pass stuff coming out. Okay, so they're going to make up for it in the long run. Look at what they just have now. They just announced a bunch of games that we didn't even know were coming to Game Pass are now coming to Game Pass. Right? Because those games weren't even talked about at their whatever, E3, whatever you want to call it.
I got news for you. I actually think Gamescom was better than Microsoft's E3.
It was 100%. It was
just based on the pure force of games coming that normally, and that's the other thing. Look at Gamescom closely with a fine magnifying glass. All of those games coming to Game Pass are normally locked behind Sony. And somehow, again, some of their marketing has worked. They got, I don't know if Sarah Bond is responsible for this, but my God, the games come into Game Pass. All scream Sony.
Isn't she in charge of? Isn't she in charge of the Game Pass games going in there now?
I think she is. Honestly, I think she is.
Yeah. So now you look at that. That now that what they're trying to do is exactly what we talked about on this panel. They're trying to make up for their lack of first party by getting these other games in there. And what does that do? Once again, the same old thing that we talked about before. Mindshare. We're talking about getting people into the interested, people talking about Xbox again, all that kind of stuff. And that's pretty magnificent in a year that they've had no bloody games coming out. Right? That is pretty remarkable. And now you got everybody talking because you still have a weapon. If you do not have first-party games, your weapon is Game Pass. And you can use that against the competition. Now, clearly, it works. I'm not talking about the quality of the games. I'm really not. I'm talking about the service and how people buy into it. You look at what's happening with Sony this year and even last year. Returnal barely cracked 1 million. Horizon Forbidden West obviously did very poor, which sucks because I love the game. It obviously did really piss poor because nobody from Sony came out with the big flags. You know how they usually do that? We sold 4 million in the first week. Ain't nobody talking about it. They forgot about it by the third day in because it was all Elden Ring at that point, right? And Gran Turismo obviously didn't sell very well. Okay,
Hey, Matt,
Ratchet and Clank did not sell well, and these are great games. Sorry, everyone, what's up?
No. I was just saying. Sounds like the game that was $60, Elden Ring, sold gangbusters. Meanwhile, all those games you mentioned were $70 games, and they aren't doing as well.
And not just not doing as well; they're barely cracking 1 million, maybe 2.
I would dare say, Mag, that Elden Ring itself outsold all 3 combined.
All 3 combined easily. They absolutely crushed it. It wasn't like 20 million in the first like month or whatever the hell it was.
It's up there, dude. Like it's
no
it's
game has come
unprecedented.
close to that. I mean, at
Yeah,
least on the Sony Microsoft side.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like lifetime sales of even Spider-Man. Their biggest selling IP was barely 25 or 30 million, and that's over a lifetime. And that's with literally giving them away in bundles. They sold, I think 10. They sold. It's a loose term. 10 million were given away basically on Black Friday bundles, and then they used that to bolster sales, which of course is what they're doing now. Ironically, you look at what you're talking about, the Forbidden West situation. Obviously, it's sold like crap. And therefore, they're bundling it with the PS5s and forcing you to buy the damn thing so that they can eventually come out and say we sold 10 million.
Yeah.
Which is baloney. And by the way, I just like to point out that bundle is almost $850 in Canada.
Jesus Christmas.
Okay, because not yet. That's when the price increase comes in. When the price increase comes in, it will be almost $850. So, like, anybody thinks that it's absolutely insane what's going on with this whole situation and the price increase and all that stuff. That is going to destroy them slowly, but it's not going to put them out of the game. You know what is going to put them out of the game?
I don't think Sony gets out of the game.
No,
they're not going to pack their bags and take their ball and go home.
I meant theoretically. I didn't mean figuratively. I mean, sorry, figuratively, not not literally. But the thing is, what will put them in a situation is not this, because they will always do fine. And what's going to put them in a situation is the minute that Call of Duty and Activision and all those things come onto Game Pass, and then the marketing machine kicks into high gear. I bet you right now those marketing guys are dying to release all like all the different things that they've got on the wall of like the possibilities of, okay, this is how we're going to market this. I got a slogan for this. Let's do a slogan over here. Like basically all the templates of what they're going to release in the next 2 years for marketing. They are losing their minds right now, waiting for this thing to seal the deal so that they can get this going and just say, oh my God, we're going to do this.
I think you're onto something. I really do believe that they are mum's the word because they don't want public sentiment to realize how powerful they're going to be if this deal closes while the FTC is reviewing whether it will have adverse effects on the industry. So you can't talk loud. You gotta
no
get your money at the moment.
Exactly. And they're doing very well now. But what I'm saying, and the thing is that Sony, I can't see Sony reversing any of their policies. I can't see them lowering the price. I mean, until like further down the line of the generation, I could see that happening. The games, they're never going to go back and release that. It's basically like gas. Okay, you see what they do with gas? They raise it up like 10 points higher than you would that they want you to pay, and then they lower it down 10 points, and you think you're getting a deal, but that's what they wanted to charge you the whole time. Right? So this is going to be the same situation. They're not lowering that price. They're not going to do anything. But the minute that Activision deal goes through, that is when it's game over, all puns intended. And that's where I see it's going to be going in the future because, like I said, Sony has been tripping over their own feet the whole generation. And even if they come out, let's just say, theoretically speaking, they come out with a PS6 and they come out strong, they cannot fight the sheer numbers of what's going to be coming in the next few years based on the services and, of course, all the IP and all the acquisitions that are going to be happening with Xbox. They're just not going to be able to compete on the same level. And I don't think they plan on it. They're basically going to become the new Nintendo. Basically, they're going to be their own thing. They're not going to be able to compete.
They're going to do their own thing.
And they'll be fine. They'll be making billions. They're going to be making amazing games. We're going to hopefully get our Last of Us 3 and all these other games they're still going to be coming. This ain't no doom and gloom, but they're not going to be able to compete on the same level as Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon. It's not going to happen. The only ones that could possibly, well, no, even Tencent can't even do anything because they only have minority shares in a bunch of different companies. They have no actual pull. But that's how the Chinese roll. They're
getting
like
money
that.
from Tom, Dick, and
Yeah,
Harry.
yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah, they're doing what they do, but that's their own thing. But yeah, they cannot compete on that level. And so it'd be unfair, actually. I know it sounds kind of arrogant, but it'd be unfair to actually put Sony in the same category as Microsoft once this deal goes through. They will not be able to compete on that level. So, like I said, they're going to do amazing. They're going to release amazing games. They're going to make billions of dollars. Everything will be fine. But when it comes to the sheer numbers, they're going to lose this generation.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think that just based on what Microsoft is doing, and they're going to be the owner of Call of Duty, which originally I didn't think was the like the stake in the ground. And after a while sat back and said, yeah, it is the stake in the ground because Call of Duty makes millions and pawn millions of dollars. And once that goes into Game Pass day and date, Sony they're going to be dead in the water. Well, with that,
listen, once they just have the marketing.
Yeah. Well, once that goes onto a box,
the Call of Duty with a Series S,
forget about it.
People will be buying, and then they lower the price by $50. People will be throwing those into stockings.
Well, dude, here's something that I've been banging this drum for the last couple of days since we learned about the family plan. Once they get the marketing rights back for Call of Duty, there's going to be a sign somewhere that says "Play the newest Call of Duty for as low as $5 a month." Inside,
right? And then imagine all the what's it called, the professional leagues and all the competitions and all the stadium tours and all that stuff. It's all going to be Xbox.
It's crazy,
right? Because they own all of it.
They own it all. So it's good stuff. Mag, listen, let me catch up with some of the super chats that I missed earlier. Sir X-Man, good friend of the program. Hopefully you are healed up and doing well, my brother. He drops not one but $2 super chats, and the first one says Xbox made a Sonic controller and console. Yes, they did. As a matter of fact, I have a Sonic controller right now. I have a Series X Sonic controller, which is dope. Come with the charger stand and everything. I'm all ready for that game. He says this: parents don't check Metacritic. It's Sonic for kids, and it's going to be ridiculous. So knees, wax them up. I don't like any hairy knees, so do the go and get those knees shaved. I'm gonna hang them right here, right next to the Cape Crusader himself, Batman statue,
BoomStick.
right here, right there.
Snatching victory from the jaws of victory, defeat from the jaws
Maybe,
of victory.
potentially.
And
right. Brigaders Blue drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, what better way to wind down than primetime gaming? Thank you very much for the kind words, but of course, thank you for the generosity. I want to go to Wandering Dutch on this. Dutch, the reason why I'm going to you is because you yourself have been very, very vocal when it comes to any company taking advantage of the public space. And I am sure you're going to have a lot of smoke to be dealt out to SIE, Jim Ryan, and the rest of them over there. Because, look, I didn't even add to the fact of all of the egregious things that I listed. One of the most egregious things, ladies and gentlemen, is their customer service and return policy. It is downright mafia-esque. I would dare say that the Yakuza has nothing on SIE when it comes to we got your money, and if you try and get it back, well, you're never going to play your console and be on that be on our platform again, because it happened to my brother, and it's happened to many other people. Their return policy is egregious at best. What are your thoughts on the console being raised? I saw people, you and I got into a bit of a heated conversation with someone that says, well, Boom, for struggling families, don't worry about games. And if you think like that, you're a fucking moron. I'm sorry I had to curse. I had to throw the F-bomb in there, because just because you can't make ends meet doesn't mean you don't want to unwind, or at best give your children something to enjoy that maybe you couldn't as a kid. So if you're out there defending this and saying that people that are trying to make ends meet or on a budget shouldn't be in gaming, you're a D-bag go dunk yourself in some piss and drown. But let's please, by all means, Wandering Dutch, take it away.
Damn.
Yeah, we like I say, we got into that conversation on there, and it's all about, and I don't know why, if people have got this notion that they need to stick up for a multi-billion-dollar corporation as if their life depends on it. Like, it's quite simple to state the obvious, but the job of Sony's CFO, or any CFO for that matter, which is a chief financial officer or finance director, depending on what role you're in that particular position, is to minimizing outgoings and maximize incomings. So what Sony are doing is minimizing the outgoing by reducing the cost to produce the console to start with, and maximizing outgoings by increasing the margin on the end by raising prices. That is exactly what's happening now, and yet there are people still defending the decision. Now, both Xbox and Nintendo more surprisingly coming out and saying, well, we're not raising the prices either. Which is the most bewildering thing ever, because if Nintendo are coming out and saying that, something's going wrong, because Nintendo do not care about the consumer. They're the same guys that charge you the same price for the game, whether it's 1 year out, whether it's 4 years out, whatever it is, that game is not dropping in price unless you're picking it up secondhand. But the fact that Nintendo and Xbox have come out and said the opposite, listen, we're not increasing prices, is a consumer end decision. There are some instances as CFO or FD that you make where you think, is this going to be worthwhile on our public image that is then going to detrimentally affect our longevity in the market? Or is it something that isn't going to affect our public image? And public image does 100% cause an issue with your bottom line, because if your public image is tarnished, then of course naturally, as a byproduct of that, you're going to get less sales. If you're coming to the Christmas period, of course, the holidays, as a fact, you're coming into the holidays where people will be trying to find out of any way they can the money to make sure that their kids, regardless of how much they're struggling, and trust me, all of our parents have been there. My parents were there when we were younger. No matter how much they were struggling, they did their absolute utmost to make sure we had the best Christmas possible.
They were superheroes to their kids.
And every parent is exactly the same. No matter what troubling circumstance they're in, they will do their absolute best to make sure you have the best holiday or Christmas possible, or the best birthday, whatever it is. They will do their best. So you're telling me that in these particular circumstances where things are the worst they've been for God knows how long, where the cost of energy, I mean, to put it into perspective, I don't know how bad the energy is over in the US at the moment, because of course you don't get the vast majority.
Con Edison in my region went up 15%. You can ask Everborn Saga what his light bill was last month, and you wouldn't believe it. You'd fall over in your chair.
You know how much it went up just this month in the UK for the energy? 50%. 50% just this month. Wow. It is already forecast to go up another 80% by March.
Wow.
So it is, and we've already had a 600% increase on wholesale cost of energy in Europe. 600%.
Dutch, I want to ask you a question, because I had a theory, but I don't really follow the energy market the way I follow the technology and game market. When during the pandemic, when they were burning, barrels of oil by the thousands or millions, or whatever, I always said to myself, they're going to get that money back.
100%.
And I feel like this is them getting that back.
There's three major corporations. Yeah, there's three major corporations in the world, i.e. countries, that are oil producers. Of course, you've got the UAE and Qatar, etc. Huge. They're called OPEC. The largest oil and gas distributor in the world, bar none. And essentially what they say goes. If they want the price to increase, it will increase. If they want it to decrease, it will decrease. They essentially dictate price. And it's essentially what's happening in the market right now. The problem, of course, we've got over in Europe, in the vast majority of this side of the world is that we all rely at this moment in time on the Russian import of gas. More than 40% of gas imports into Europe are from Russia, which is a significant amount. That the entirety of the EU relies on. Now, if we're looking at just that increase, that's not including then the cost of petrol and, as we say, for transportation, etc., at this side of the world, which, of course, we know yours has increased, but ours is double what yours is currently, which is just obviously it's significant. It always has been. That's why we always used to laugh when we came over to America and seeing how cheap it was to run and say, basically, there's no wonder you guys can run muscle cars, because over here, that's almost financial suicide to try and own a muscle car.
Same here in Canada, Dutch. We're hitting the same price as you guys are.
Yeah, it's insane. But that said, all of those things into a fact, it is one of the toughest situations financially for everything. Like my rents just went up this month from $550 to $625. So it's a £75 increase. Obviously, for the US, that's $100 per month increase. My energies went up from 82 to 135 just this month alone. It's scheduled to go up again, up to almost 200 a month. So that's just me, and that's just me on my wage. That's not a family with a house full of kids, and the energy bill is going to be double what I'm paying. The cost of transport to get kids everywhere, food to feed their bellies and things like that. And at the same time, and every parent will be thinking exactly the same thing. Christmas is around the corner. I need to start preparing for that now. I need to start buying for that now. Whatever happens, the financial aspect of it isn't the kid can't do anything. Your kids can't do anything. They're not going to understand what's going on in the world. Yes, you can sit them down and say, listen, things are tough, but they're really not going to understand too much. So you're not going to put all that on the kid, are you? So when it comes to
You should have a talk with my dad.
Humanity and logistics, when you look at the grand scheme of things, all PlayStation are doing to themselves by putting a price increase on is driving consumers to the cheaper alternative. The cheaper alternative being this fall is Xbox Series S with Game Pass. The fact that Series S over here as well is also reduced in price, including Game Pass and games, compared to the fact that the PlayStation 5 not only is impossible to find, but is also increasing in price, is only going to push those families to go for a financial. What I want to do is get them a really awesome Christmas present, know that they're going to have a brand new gaming console at Christmas, and just put a smile on their face because of all the worries that they're going to go through and all the financial difficulties they're going to have. No matter how bad it is, that smile on the face at Christmas Day with that present will just make all of those things just disappear for a while. It'll make it all worthwhile, the struggles and everything that they're going through, just to see their kids happy. And that is the bottom line. If you have a look at it from that particular perspective, Microsoft and Nintendo come out and say, we're not increasing prices. Nintendo are making hand over fist on their products. Xbox are making profits on their products. They also have something in place in order to make sure people can continue to enjoy gaming despite it being a really difficult time. Then you've got the addition of Xbox Friends and Family that's coming up soon, which is also going to further increase not only the profitability but the ease of getting into gaming for people on a budget. It's a no-brainer. Sony have just absolutely dropped the ball here from not just a consumer standpoint, but from a case of just not reading the room correctly. Like, yes, you can make an extra buck, but there's certain times where you can forego that extra little bit of profit in order to have good faith with the consumers and continue to win mindshare. And this isn't one of those. It remains to be seen whether or not they go back on that. But the fact they're reducing the actual build cost by revising the console again and increasing the cost of the console for the consumer tells me, and we know already, because they've already came out and said this, that the disc version of the console is profitable. The digital, they don't make enough of it to care. And even if it is making a loss, the gains on the disc version of the console far outweigh the losses on the digital, so they're still making profits regardless. So for their particular aspect, Sony can afford to take that little bit of a hit because they're still going to make a profit on the console because they've already reduced the operating costs for that particular console and the build costs. They're just choosing not to, and that's the difference. What we was trying to drum into this kid on Twitter before is there's a choice to be made here. You can choose to increase your profit margin or continue with the same level of profit margin and have and retain better faith with your consumers. There is no requirement to further increase it other than greed. In a time like it is now, there is no requirement for you to increase the costs. If you found a way to reduce the production cost, there is no requirement for you to increase the costs on the end user if the product that you're making is cheaper to mass manufacture. If it's cheaper to mass manufacture, then you're already increasing that leverage. So there's no need. It's bewildering to me. It's bewildering. It's obviously, like I say, but we've said this on countless occasions. The CFOs, the financial directors over at Sony, obviously have the remit, maximize profit, regardless. That's what we want. Just maximize the profit margin. The consumer thing isn't even a mind share thing at the moment. They don't care about that. It's just maximize the profit margin. So personally, I think they've dropped the ball, and I think this could be one of the leverages, specifically this holiday, that could see Xbox really outpace.
Yeah, listen, you've knocked it out of the park, brother, and you're absolutely right. Again, they are potentially painting themselves into a corner, so to speak, with this kind of shenanigans, and it's going to be a hard look. I mean, forget this fool. Forget this fool. Let's take a long forecast outlook. How at some point is Sony going to ask their players to pay $76.43 here in New York State for Call of Duty when you can get it for as low as $5 a month? There is a reason why Sony is petro. Now, they may not be quote unquote scared like a lot of people really, but their concern has been levied as to, yeah, it's actually real concern. There's just no doubt about it. They have said in that Brazilian questionnaire that they filled out and was outed by everyone that their biggest third-party moneymaker is Call of Duty. They're going to lose that. And once they lose that, look, they just announced this year that they have 10 games in development that are, gas games. How long do you think those games are going to take to come out? Because Sony, even though they released bangers,
that's 12 games, 12 gas games.
12 though. There it is. It's 2 more added to it. So it's 12 gas games. Their games are great. Their games are bangers, as the kids like to say, but they also take 4 and 5 years. So when are we expecting these banger gas games? 2026, 2027? At that point, you might as well just be a publisher. But anyway, before I use one of King David's lines, Asante, you and I have had the pleasure of talking about this on numerous occasions privately, but we're now hanging out with the public. We got almost 500 people here. If you're new to the channel, you're finding this for the first time, folks, we just crossed 11,000 subscribers 2 Fridays ago. And for me and Mrs. Boom, who really love doing this, who really love interacting with this amazing community, regardless of what flag you fly, help us get to 12K. That is the goal. Can we hit 12K with the remainder months of the year? There's still 4 months of the year. I don't know, but I'd certainly like to give it the old college effort. So please subscribe. Please hit the bell icon. And, of course, hit that like button. Asante, is Sony essentially digging their own grave?
See, that's a very interesting question. Are they making bad moves these days? I 100% think so. That's personally what I think. They're making bad moves, and why do I think they're making bad moves? Because at the end of the day, you can get away with what you can get away with as long as there is no direct competitor to look at to be able to compare against. And unfortunately for them, they definitely have a competitor to compare against, right? That's a big reason why, if you look at the environment right now, you'll see they didn't upgrade the price. They didn't increase prices in America in the normal way, right?
Right.
If you check the Twitter DMs, you'll see I just now Warrior 64 just posted, oh, you can buy Xboxes and you can buy PlayStations. If you go and you check, normal Xbox unavailable. Only one that's available is $550 bundle with Horizon Forbidden West, right? So they are definitely spending that political capital in America, as they are everywhere else as well. But I'm not sure that they're digging their own grave in that, because, and I've said this on a few occasions, and I continue to say it. These are amoral entities. They are not people that search within their souls to find out whether they're doing righteous or doing wrong on your behalf. They are entities that are dedicated to separating you from your cash. That's what they're there for. And they continue to televise and telegraph how they are and what they'll do, right? Microsoft continues to telegraph being we care, we want to respect you and your time and your money. And because of that, every time we think they're not respecting us and their time and their money, we got the pitchforks out ready to fight, right? Because Microsoft has taught us that, hey, when you deal with us, expect us to respect your time and your money, right? So we're always ready to keep an eye out, making sure they continue doing that, right? PlayStation, on the other hand, has taught us that, we are the home of the bangers. We are the definitive, the truth, if you want to find an industry standard that everyone should adhere to, that's us. But with that comes terrible, terrible business practices, terrible, terrible shady behaviors. But you're gonna have to get used to that, consumer, because that's what's part and parcel with greatness. Right? They've trained us this, right? You said this as well, Boom. Everborn was ready to not even pay the cheaper price for Forbidden West, because they've trained us to know that, hey, if we give you a deal here, we might take it back from you, later down the line, and make you regret ever going down that deal path.
I love
Gotcha,
it.
bitch.
Exactly, right? You know what I mean? They have trained us well. So whether or not it's going to happen or not, we are the first to go, nah, we ain't messing with that. We know what to expect from them. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, to me, it's not about whether or not they will succeed or they won't succeed, whether they're making moves or they're not making moves. It's all about their bet that they've put so much loyalty into the mix and indoctrination into the marketplace that now they can't fail. Oh, we can push them to the edge. We're not breaking them, We're not asking them to pay $800 for the console. We're just asking them to pay $50 more for their console.
Yeah.
And we are greatness, so
Yeah.
they'll definitely pay that. You know what I'm saying? This is the bet that they're making. And yes, I hear the yet, and you're absolutely right, Everborn. And the reason why you're right, Everborn, is not because of the company. On this, I don't blame Sony. Because Sony, as we've already established, is an amoral entity who's just there to separate you from your cash. How can you blame them when you're quick to be like, please, take my cash?
Well,
How can you blame them for that?
No, you are right. And who is to blame for this? Look, perfect example of this kind of what we expect a corporation to do and whether or not they're listening. What happened? It was a triumph. It was a triumph of everyone in the community coming together. Lines were blurred. And you know what I'm going for, okay? When Microsoft said they were going to double up gold, everyone put down the banners. Boom. And we all came out in one giant voice. Cats were hanging out with dogs, and peanut butter was hanging out with jelly.
Let's be fair. We who are gamers in the community were like, this is unacceptable. And those who are used to always wanting to take shots at Microsoft also had opportunity to continue doing that. So that means all of our objectives aligned for that wonderful moment where the sun overtook the moon and we were all seeing eye to eye. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see. It seems like that seems to be happening here. Unfortunately, those who saw eye to eye in that moment failed to recognize, and by the way, I am completely distracted by the epic footage going on right now
Thank
on
you,
the
sir.
screen.
Thank you. Yes.
Those who still are following that talking point fail to recognize that stuff works across the board. They failed to recognize that, hey, we still, by and large, can buy stuff from the Vita game store. And I bought a game from the Vita store like 2 weeks ago because we all spoke with that one solitary voice. And every time we do that, we see them recognize that, oh, that's where our bread is buttered. Maybe we shouldn't be, coming out and being so rude and being so arrogant with our assumptions that they're going to basically adhere to whatever we ask them to. But as long as we as consumers are so busy sniping at each other, talking about macroeconomics instead of, hey, we understand the world is messed up, we understand it's backwards, but that still does not give you an excuse to basically bend your most loyal consumers backwards, bend them over backwards and expect them to accept this, because they are your most loyal consumers, right? They're the ones you're supposed to be cultivating because they keep you on their back even on the days when you're not good. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing as Microsoft now becoming super popular, super great, everybody loves them, and now all of a sudden they forget the hardcore base that got them there, right? If and when that happens, we'll be right here, on your screen, on your YouTube screens, yelling and pitchforking as we do now. My only fear in all of this, and I'll give it up a mic, but my only fear in all of this is, as long as we are so busy deliberating amongst ourselves as to whether or not we are allowed to make voice that this is wrong, yeah, you're already too late. The thread's already lost. Your wallet's already gone, right? And it's just going to keep going. And as Everborn keeps saying, charge them more. When will you recognize that while you're busy deliberating whether or not you should be holding the pitchforks with your brothers in arms, when will you recognize that your wallet is escaping from your pocket? Every time you open your mouth and say something stupid, you're tacitly giving them a green light to charge you more.
Yeah.
And more. And more. Like, I think it's absolutely hilarious. Nintendo comes out and goes, well, we've decided we're not going to charge. Yeah. Their hardware spec is from 2015.
Yeah,
if there's a reason their hardware is costing more right now, it's the VCR problem. Company doesn't want to make it anymore. Nvidia doesn't want to make the Tegra X1 anymore. But Nintendo's like, you crazy? Shit, they're buying it. We're selling it. Cha-ching. Why are we stopping now? That's the only reason why Nintendo's even seeing an uptick in pricing, because nobody wants to make the Abacus anymore. But as long as you're ready to continue buying it, they're ready to continue selling it. So the point of the matter, all of this is, it's not about one company good, one company bad, one company great, one company terrible. No, it's about empower yourself. The smarter you get, the more they can't get one over on you. And as long as you don't understand what they're doing, they're going to completely continue to Scrooge McDuck you at any point in time, which is what's happening right now.
They're definitely rope-a-doping a large portion of the PlayStation community, and they're asking for it. They're literally asking for it. Listen, let's get Crispy Bomb in on the conversation, who's going to have a lot to say. Crispy, look, this is bad behavior, and it's not just a console price rate. Raising the price of a console 2 years in. It's not just $10 for upgrades where the other guy gives it to you for nothing. Yeah, you get the X and Series S version. I mean, think about this for a second, folks. Think about this for a second. Put this in your pipe and smoke it. When MLB The Show came to Xbox last year, right? And Phil Spencer put out that tweet, basically just pooping in the faces of everyone when he did that, right? Or dropping the big meat on the table, as they would say. You got the upgrade for free on Xbox Series X and S. But Sony players had to spend the additional $10 to get the PlayStation 5 version. Just think about that for a second. A Sony first-party game launches in Game Pass. Players there who have a Series X and S got the upgrade for free, and your home territory, your home turf, charged you $10 for it. And that game is still not in your service. WTF. Please, Crispy, take it away.
Well, let's just trash those people that are saying Deathloop going in their service first. Like, by all means, it's already been an exclusive.
I mean, they have the contract.
Yeah,
Microsoft honored the contract.
Yeah, so I mean, some people just need to relax with that. I'm going to take a slightly different approach. We've been talking about this for like it feels like 2 weeks in some way, shape, or form between any place I've been at, any podcast or anything like that. And I really have been thinking about it, especially because you had the topic in there, and I'm like, if we really look at it, I think Sony's biggest fault right now is, for the love of God, they can't bring out a multiplayer exclusive.
Right.
And anything that they've bought rights to or anything like that has been absolute garbage. Okay. And it might not be garbage now because those games are games as a service and they do get better. Like I see a lot of my friends still playing Godfall, stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like they don't know what to do. And that's why you see 12 gas games. Like, they are doing what Microsoft did after the PS4 generation started, and they got handed to. The only difference is that Microsoft did not steer away from multiplayer. Okay, they actually embraced it even more. And Sony steered away from multiplayer. I mean, they came and put The Last One of Us One factions into the remake. Think about that. Why didn't they do it? Because they need the game out now. That's why they did that. Okay. And what about Last of Us 2 faction? Where's that?
Well, they promised that a year later. It's been 2 years.
And we gave Halo flag for not having co-op, but I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it had the multiplayer at launch. You just didn't have the co-op multiplayer. Okay. Here's my point. You look at what they're doing. They're buying up multiplayer, mobile, all these things Microsoft's been doing for like 2.5, 3 years now. Okay. And they're doing it at a feverish pace. And, like what, they go and buy another developer that makes mobile games. And then you're going to sit here and tell me this is exactly right after you raise the price of the PS5. I mean, come on, man. Like they are blatantly spitting in your face. And you're opening your mouth and you're enjoying it. I'm not going to. PlayStation 4 gone. We don't even know where it is. I think it's at one of the kids' grandparents' house at this point. We're selling it. We're done. We're done with PlayStation. PlayStation, you could have, we had a whole week. You could have, walked it back. You could have said, hey, we'll cut it. We'll cut it to 25 and at least give somebody some kind of like, logicalness. You can't say it's inflation or you would have done it in the United States. I don't care what anybody says. All right. You cannot make that excuse. Okay. You are raising the price blatantly. All right. You have raised the price blatantly on your games. This is a unprecedented time. We are basically in a recession, even though the government won't say we are, because this feels about 2008-ish for me, at least. I don't know about everybody else, but yeah, 2008. And guess what? All these consoles were out for like 2+ years and nobody raised the price. So what changed? Explain this to me. Also, a lot of components, especially the ones that they use, are actually, for computer wise, if you get a PC, they're actually a little cheaper right now. So I don't understand how people defend this. I think at this point, I'm with Everborn. You want to pay more, go right ahead, bro. Go ahead. I'm done with it. Like The Last of Us Part 1, like, I'm sorry, I don't see anything I've ever seen before from the other one. And it's like, you could sit here and say, I watched it, because I do like watch people play games because I can't afford to buy a $550 console right now, to be honest with you. And the PS4, I mean, like I said, like the kid, all he cares about multiplayer. This generation coming up, all they care about is multiplayer.
Yep.
And PlayStation is so damn far behind that you're seeing them do such crazy things, just like when Microsoft said TV, and all that bullshit. Even though they came out with, they had a year like Sony's having right now. You came out with your Quantum Breaks, your Rises, all these really good games, but they got kind of thrown to the curb. And they were also didn't involve multiplayer. Anybody remember that? Yep. Multiplayer has become, and let's be honest, okay, fiber optic is flying across the United States. It is literally, I mean, I just got fiber, and I'll tell you right now, there's like probably 20 devices that are on right now using my Wi-Fi, and everything's still running nice. This would have never happened 5 years ago. Okay. And this is where I go and say, a lot of people forget the original Xbox had DSL in it. Everybody remember that? And they were bold enough to do that. And then everybody remember in that little, documentary that they talked about investing and putting up DSL across the country. Do you really think Microsoft ain't trying to put fiber up as fast as possible?
Oh, of
Sony
course
don't
they
got
are.
the funds for
100%,
that.
yeah.
So Sony don't got the fight, but they can invest in other companies. And all of a sudden, I got, once they started getting into the X Cloud and stuff, all of a sudden I got 2 fiber companies coming here. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But you know what? That's just them doubling down on what they think is right. And you know what? Making the infrastructure of the country better is not a bad thing either, regardless of the outcome, regardless of how they feel about it. Charging people $15 a month with day and date exclusives is not a bad thing. Okay. And then you get these games that are coming in here that, you might say, oh, they're not AAA bangers. Well, I don't know. Like, some of these games are riding that line. They might have been on a smaller budget, but man, they look pretty darn good. I mean, a lot of people are like Liza P. You know what I'm saying? What about a Plague's Tale Requiem? Like, you know what I mean? And
Look, here's just a quick set. First of all, you're getting Gungrave Gore, which has been confirmed. You got Scorn, Atomic Heart, High on Life, Lies of P, A Plague's Tale, Stalker 2, Wulong, Evil West, Benedict Fox. I could keep going, ladies and gentlemen.
Evil West, like, a lot of, dude, that game looks awesome.
That
Like,
game
it looks really cool.
bonkers good,
you know what I'm saying?
bro.
And then it's like, it's almost like they're, and I go and say, this is almost a blessing for Microsoft right now, because, I would hope there's a legitimate reason why they delayed Redfall and Starfield. But at the same time, like, if Starfield's as good as everybody thinks it's going to be, some FTC, young gun will be like, oh, this game's too good. They can't have Activision. Like, somebody, just one person could speak up, and then all of a sudden it becomes a problem. So right now you just look like pro-consumer, and Sony's really handing it to you by doing this. I mean, they've really, all of these price increases, it's like, well, maybe
Price
there needs
increase. They just invested up past 16% for the Elden Ring developer, along with Tencent. They're
look at all the investments, but they have to charge the consumer more. I question that, people.
It's
Come
crazy.
on.
Yeah. I mean, listen, great stuff as always. You absolutely knocked it out of the park. And obviously there's a reason why they want to invest in gas games, because they want that money and they want to charge you. And don't be surprised if one of those gas games that they may or may not charge you for is The Last of Us, a multiplayer that was taken out of the remake and also promised for part 2, which we still haven't seen. Listen, we're past the 9 o'clock hour. We got Everborn Saga, who is pretty good when it comes to money. Everborn, let's get your opinion. I know that all jokingly around, you're like, F it, charge him more. But
I'm deadly serious, but yes, please.
I know, but based on what we have seen, is Sony potentially boxing themselves out to lose this gen?
So I don't want to speak to losing the gen or winning the gen. I do think going forward, every gen you have a reset. So past successful strategies are only good for the future if the competitive landscape stays the same, and if market conditions are the same, and both of those things are not the same. So Sony cannot continue to do the things that made them successful last time. And some of those things include relying on third parties while you only make the one kind of game that you're good at. We saw that happen in the 360 days, and that's only works if you can continue to be the market leader. And if enough, and you are the market leader, that's not decided by us fans here in the content creation and Twitter space, not to be confused with spaces, but that's decided by where the casuals decide to play. And Sony was right when they said COD is the kind of game that causes people to make console buying decisions, right? And so I think Sony could put themselves in a very precarious predicament because, listen, there is, and we can't say it's impossible. We saw it during the PS3 days where they were telling you to get another job to go buy a PS3, right? You cannot say just because you're successful, everything you're doing is correct. And I think there's too many people with loud voices that don't want to lose an argument with me that will cut off their nose to spite their face, as my parents would say.
Yep.
Right? So because you don't want to lose an argument or seem like you've been had, you have to double down, right? So instead of saying, hey, maybe, you shouldn't do these practices, I can't let the team green get a one up. So let me dig my feet in and say I'm paying for quality. Here's the thing. I do think there's a breaking point. We're obviously not there yet. But again, at what point do we say, hey, you're packaging something you would have packaged before as a DLC, you're packaging that as a standalone game, Miles Morales, right? Cool, you did that, no problem. Now you're selling older games at full price and calling them director's cuts or remakes, $70. You raise the standard price of your games to $70. You raise the price on consoles a month after you tell us that you're profitable on every console that you sell. You release a service and you say your games, even though we want more money from you, your games are too good to be put in that service day and date. We'll happily take your money, but your money doesn't deserve our day and date games because they're just too good, right? Then you say, hey, we want to make a move into PC, but PC players, you're going to get those games 2 to 4 years late, right? And then, hey, Sony guys, you invested in these games day one, F you, buy them again.
Yep.
Right? So again, each one of these things, in a vacuum, fine. It is what it is. They're doing what is best for their business. And I don't doubt that PlayStation 5 is costing them more to produce. There's a chip shortage. But really what I think it is the market has proven that they are willing to pay scalpers upwards of $800 to $1,000 for these things. So why not get in on the scalping business?
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
The market has proven that they would pay more than what you've offered for it. So I think they're looking at that. They're looking at what's happening with the scalpers. They're looking at the sales on eBay. They're looking at these bundle sales. And listen, we can say that they didn't raise the price in the US, but they did, right?
They absolutely did. Yeah,
Show me
100%.
somewhere where you can find a non-bundled PS5 in the US.
You cannot.
Right? So the price goes up across the board. And all I am saying is there will be a straw that breaks the camel's back. And you can get away with it now because you want to say Xbox got no games, whatever. What happens when that changes? What happens when they aren't the only ones in town dropping bangers consistently, right? And I think it's going to take sort of the maybe the media to turn on them because the fans aren't going to stop apologizing and simping and bending over and say, please give me more. I'll take it. Thank you very much. Right?
Well, but
Or bring out the GIMP.
I
mean,
to
whatever
your point
floats your boat.
the media is slowly starting to turn. We are seeing, mouthpieces, people who would be considered mouthpieces are now coming up and saying, oh, this move wasn't that hot. There have been some surprising takes that I will say, hey, this bodes at least well to for us in the content creation game who are thinking that, hey, we want to see people get the righteous smoke they deserve for this move. And for now, we haven't seen that happen. It seems that Sony is finally, some media outlets are finally looking at this going, well, okay, we can't defend this now, which is a plus side.
Again, this is the problem, right? We saw this with Microsoft when they were making so much money with Windows, they didn't realize that mobile was the future.
Yeah.
We saw it with Nokia. They were at the top of the mobile game. And then here comes the iPhone, right? We saw it again in the PS3 days. We saw it with the Xbox One. These things, people, you make a name for yourself by doing what's right for the customer. You make a killing in money, and then you're so busy trying to hold on to that top position that you don't realize you're getting lapped, right? So again, today, what they're doing, fine, they're getting away with it, but they are, as I say, the bill always comes due. And I think that while they're getting away with this now, they're running, in my opinion, the risk of the consumer turning on them. And all it will take, I promise you this, all it will take is when Microsoft, their biggest competitor, fully realizes what they're trying to do in terms of high-profile AAA output. Because you tell me when COD is on the box for the Series S and Diablo 4 is an exclusive, maybe, who knows, right? And Starfield and Redfall and Avowed and all those things start hitting, and provided they're good, you're not going to be able to do that on the other side, and it will be too late.
They'll also no longer be big man on campus. See, right now they're the rule of the roost because, well, Microsoft, unfortunately, kind of got a wet fart for 2022. I mean, that's just what happened. They didn't read the room properly, and they delayed their games. Now, granted, I think that the replacement with some of the big games that are coming into Game Pass are as important as first party, and I think that. Listen, I don't want a broken Redfall. I don't want a broken Starfield. I don't want a broken Motorsport. If they have to be delayed to make them work and release flawless, then so be it. But look,
or they have to be delayed to get the Activision deal through.
Well, I mean that's you're going to keep running with that, and you might as well be correct in saying so. But look, we are past the 2-hour mark. I want to get everyone the heck out of here. We had almost 500. We missed 500 by a pinch. And before I do that, Highlander01 drops a $5 super chat and says, the problem for Sony is not Jim Ryan or their CEO. It's the shareholders. The shareholders want a return on investment, and they want it now. Cloaked Onyx. Well, welcome to the show, brothers. Name I've never seen before. And welcome. Hopefully you have subscribed. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, listening to you guys while I'm at work. Great content so far. Well, thank you for that, brother. Tune in, man. The back-to-back weeks, I streamed 5 days. I'm dead. I'm hanging on by a string, but there's still 2 more shows to produce this week, and I will be delivering those. And I might have to not do anything for the show over the weekend and just veg out because it's going to be a long holiday weekend. We have Henry 978 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, didn't they change the heatsink and fan last year to save costs? Indeed they did. That is absolutely correct, which is where they were saving money.
What they cut out of the new one. I'm looking forward to seeing that teardown.
Yeah, I can't wait. Austin Evans is good at doing that. Hopefully he will do that as well. Michelle Alexandria drops a very generous $2 super chat. Thank you for the generosity. And Smitty Smith, my good brother, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the PlayStation faithful say they didn't want to play old games, but they are now salivating over The Last of Us? Interesting point. I mean, that's very true, and people will change.
See, that was different.
That's different because it's a masterpiece. I've heard
exactly.
people say. But look, greatness comes at a cost, and well, I'm not paying for that cost because I'll get that in PlayStation Plus or on Black Friday for like $15 is when I'm going to get that. I'm not giving Sony that money. I will be buying God of War. Let's get to the outros. Wandering Dutch, sell your brand, brother. Talk about your podcast today. Now that you're back with the crew over at the midweek mix-up, and where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Being awesome to be back again. big topics, but it needed to be said. Obviously,
Yep.
like you say, there's too many people shilling these days for corporations that don't care about them. Needs to be had, needs to be done, but it is done now. And there is more positive things coming up. We obviously had the awesome announcement of TGS coming up as well soon. The nice live stream for us to watch there, as well as the Marvel and Disney showcase as well. That's going to be coming up very shortly. So lots of good stuff to look at and look forward to going forwards. And of course, awesome games coming out. You can find me, of course, everywhere at Wandering Dutch. YouTube at Wandering Dutch, the home of the Midweek Mix-Up podcast, where we do every Tuesday a Sea of Thieves live stream. Every Wednesday is the Midweek Mix-Up podcast. And of course, on Sundays, the weekend edition. I'm also part of this glorious podcast, Primetime Gaming. And you can also find me on Boxing Burger's channel for World of Gaming as well, where I am now a co-host there. But awesome as always, guys. Great to be back. I have missed all you chaps, so look forward to many more of these. And everybody in chat, thanks for the support as always. See you all again next week.
Thank you, brother, and appreciate it. Love that you're back, brother. Glad that you were able to kind of recharge the batteries. Love the work that you're doing on your channel, and of course, that is super important that you're back with the boys, doing what you guys love to do, and that's talking about video games. And Asante, sell your brand, brother. I would imagine that this Saturday there's going to be some slander. There's going to be some potential finger pointing, especially because one person who I'm devastated. Wants Sonic to fail, even though he's the biggest Sonic. I know the Righteous Smoke is coming. Sell the brand. Where could people check
Strategy.
out
your
Everborn
Judas,
podcast?
man?
That's right.
Judas.
Everborn
Hey,
Judas.
You guys will all be thanking me if it comes to pass the way I say it's supposed to.
Oh,
Well, I hope
Everborn
it
Judas.
doesn't,
We
but
pointed you in your corner. Stop it, Everborn Judas.
yes,
that was
stop
very
it.
terrible. Anyway,
the Gaming Circle podcast, 10 a.m. Eastern
Yes,
Standard
sir.
Time, Saturday morning. Talk about it.
yeah, thank you so much. And of course, as usual, it's always fun being in the chat with you guys. Always fun on a Wednesday, pulling up, getting all this great news, gaming news talking going on. Appreciate everybody who's been checking out last week's episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. I'm not sure Mr. Everborn Saga knows that our last episode is actually doing pretty gangbusters. The numbers are doing pretty great. People are watching. People are commenting. Lots of great comments and whatnot. You know, we haven't had a
conspiracy
I'm sorry?
theory.
Well, yeah. It had to be because of your conspiracy theory. Which, if that was the case, we'd have 100,000 subscribers because you always have a new one. But that's neither here nor there. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. You know, always great hanging out with the whole PTG crew and you know, having you guys back. Dutch, it's great to have you back once again. We did miss you. It's awesome to have you back and, you know, putting the smack down on Twitter. It's always good for a good laugh or two during the day. We appreciate you, sir. But anyway, TKO Asante on Xbox, PlayStation, Twitter, anywhere you want to find me. Co-host of the aforementioned Gaming Circle podcast on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the slanderous one, Mr. Everborn Saga. We like to have fun on Saturday morning, so come check us out. Subscribe, like, all those things. We're on our way to that 1,000 subscribers. Little channel. We look like we might get there, so please come and help us out and get us on our way there. But always great talking with you guys, and of course, we will see you guys again next week. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, brother. Crispy, sell your brand, brother. Where are you going to be tomorrow night? And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Oh, gentlemen, always a pleasure talking to you guys. And yes, we have a great debate without getting nasty with each other, which I think some podcasts need to learn from. Just saying. At Chrissy Bomb on Twitter, Chrissy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., we got the next podcast. We better be there, bot, if you're listening. It's been 2-week hiatus, and I'm sure we're going to have like 1,000 topics and go like 4 hours. So we'll see what happens there. And then we got Retro Renegades Tuesday night, 7 p.m. And of course, back here on Primetime Gaming, 7 p.m. Wednesday.
Yes, well, brother, thank you so much for being a part of this show. And last and no way least, the slanderous one, also known as Backstabber Everborn Saga, because he hates Sonic all of a sudden.
Wow.
Wow. I blame you,
It's getting there.
Asante.
Listen, Sonic can't fail. It's got to do gangbuster numbers because I want someone's knees on my collector's shelf. Right up
I want Sega on their knees so
Dude,
Phil
Born
and
Saga.
Sarah
Oh,
Bonham
boy.
can come pick them up. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my
Now-
god! Well, listen again. Talk about the Everborn Saga. Tell one where they can check out that series that you have poured your heart into, and you're making a game, brother. So talk about that.
I am making a game, Everborn Saga: The Redlands, based on our latest book, The Redlands, that we funded on Kickstarter. So that's all going along nicely. We've got the whole team on it. I cannot wait to have something more to show there. Just waiting on some new character animations in. I will share it with the community. We're going to start doing live code days soon, I promise. But everbornsaga.com and Everborn Saga everywhere else. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam. You name it, type in Everborn Saga and you will find me. Even if you say Everborn Saga 3 times in the mirror in your bathroom, I'll show up behind you.
Just don't hook anybody,
And don't drop the soap.
Candyman. Don't do
Pause.
it.
Don't drop
Okay.
the soap.
But Everborn Saga, type it in. You will find me in the Everborn Saga, the Redlands game, coming very, very soon. I promise. More info on the way.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here, everyone. A big shout out to the near 500 people we had. We have officially crossed 11,100 subscribers. And again, we are now 899 away from 12K, and I'm hoping that we can get that.
Activision deal closes.
You said that about the Bethesda deal, and I hit it. So let's hope that's the case. But listen, thank you so much for all the super chats. They do help us do the big giveaways, and there's 3 left coming in September, November, December. $500, $500, and $1,000 are a total of $2,000. By the end of the year, Mrs. Boom and I will have doled out over $3,000 in prizes, and that's paid for by you, the channel members. There's the people that drop in super chats, because I'm a retired dude, so I only get so much money. And we want to reinvest into the channel by giving back as much as we can. And this year we'll dole out over $3,000, which is just it's our biggest year ever. And that's thanks to you folks. Of course, big shout out to the panel. There is no show without an amazing panel. And these gentlemen are my brothers, and I do love them like family. And I want to say something that's important to me, folks, that hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And it's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.